I'm so glad you brought that up. Thank you, Tyler.
Today is February 19th, year of our Lord, 2021. And I'm having fun. Oh, yes. Yeah, man, y'all ain't, man, if your shoulders wasn't moving for that intro, man, go on, cut this off. This ain't the show for you. I don't know if y'all heard or not, but that boy Rush Limbaugh dead, ain't he? That boy dead as shit, man. He never been more dead than he is right now. And that makes me happy. I'm having fun. Now, there are a certain faction of people that think it's in poor taste to celebrate when someone dies, whether you agree or disagree with them or not. They say, what's the benefit? No good will come from this. It's not the right way to commemorate a person's life, good or bad. I am not a member of that faction of people. In fact, there are plenty of people that I wish death upon. Yes, oh yes. And if I outlive them, I will celebrate it, and I will not feel bad about it. Now, what goes along with that is I understand that I'm probably that person for somebody. Several people. Hundreds of people, okay? I'm probably that person for hundreds of people, all right? Several hundreds of people. Like, when I pass and Julio Jones shows up to crank that Batman at my funeral, I can't get mad, right? We can't get mad at that. We call that even Steven. You know what I mean? So, Rush Limbaugh's up out of here. And if you're unfamiliar, he was a radio host. I feel like a lot of people know of him kind of like as a figure, right? Like one of those... Like he's a figure, he's just always kind of been around. But he was a radio host, conservative, quote unquote, conservative radio host. And he was probably the most successful in the history of radio, like not even exaggerating. I think it was probably him for a while. Then he passed it over to Howard Stern, but he was first, so I'll give it to him. And he was a terrible person, right? Like he was a close friend of Donald Trump, which tells you, you know what I'm saying, just about all you need to know. He like played down how serious COVID was. He said that Michael J. Fox was exaggerating the effects of Parkinson's disease for stem cell research. Little known disease like Parkinson's. Said he was playing up the effects of that. He said feminism was established, quote, so as to allow unattractive women easier access to the mainstream of society, end quote. Concerning sexual consent, he said, quote, how many of you guys have learned that no means yes if you know how to spot it, end quote. He said the Iraq war veterans that came back and were speaking out against the war after the things they did and things they have seen, things they have been made aware of. He called them, quote, phony soldiers. Called them phony soldiers. And in the 80s, at a time where deaths due to complications from HIV and AIDS were soaring at their highest, he would deliver AIDS updates with Dionne Warwick, I'll Never Love This Way Again, playing in the background, right? So he's a bad guy. Or he was a bad guy, because now he's dead as fuck. So I don't have to feel bad when bad people die. And you don't either, right? Now, I'm not going to tell you to dance on their grave, right? Now, that's a decision you'll have to make for yourself. But I won't discourage you either. And depending on who it is, I might just dance with you. Jump into a question that's somewhat related. We'll be doing a lot of that today. It says, since Rush Limbaugh passed, rest in piss, whose pack do you think will burn the loudest when they leave the earth? And in parentheses has Trumpito. I think he's numero uno, man. Like, you ain't seen nothing yet. Like, again, a lot of people, what I learned yesterday, kind of don't really remember Rush Limbaugh. Because he's old, and now he's dead. I don't know if you heard. But when Trump goes, that pack gonna hurt my head, man. That thing going to the moon. So he got to be number one. Mitch McConnell, when that old purple face fucker's out of here, that pack gonna treat me right. When Bill O'Reilly was a little bit more modern day Rush Limbaugh. He kind of did it on TV. People just tell Bill O'Reilly anything, and he would just dispute it. So the second that Bill O'Reilly pack go up, me, Cameron, and Dame Dash gonna have some Chandon Moet. $4,500 a bottle. I'll buy it myself. So those are probably my top three. But it's, again, everybody have their little list of people they're gonna celebrate when they die. Or maybe that's just me. And if that's just me, I'm fine with that too. But he's dead. R.I.P. Bozo. Die, hater, die. I don't have a transition. Carson Wentz got traded. I'm reading straight here from ESPN. It said the Philadelphia Eagles have agreed to trade quarterback Carson Wentz to the Indianapolis Colts for a 2021 third-round draft pick and a conditional 2022 second-round draft pick that could turn into a first-rounder. The Eagles will receive the 85th overall pick in this year's draft, and the conditional second-rounder can turn into a first-rounder based on Wentz's playing time. Wentz needs to play at least 75% of the Colts snap for the 2022 conditional pick to convey to a first-rounder, but the pick could also become a first-rounder if Wentz plays at least 70% of the snaps and the Colts reach the playoffs. But the worst the 2022 pick can be as a second-rounder, meaning the Eagles are assured of netting 2 value picks for the former number 2 overall selection in the 2016 draft. End quote. Listen to that statement. They're assured to get 2 value picks for the former number 2 pick. That's like saying you getting, listen, I gave you $100 bill, but it's okay because you gave me back a quality fiver and a George Washington. I got back $6. I got a quality $6 after I gave you 100. And it doesn't really surprise me that he went there. I know that the Eagles coaches where he had his best years went from Philadelphia to Indianapolis. He is young enough and signed to a long enough contract to where they will hope he can be their quarterback of the future. They did not give up a first-round pick unless he plays a lot, which with his injury history, I don't think it's a guarantee that he gets 75% of those snaps. So that'll bear watching. But I do think it's interesting that the number 1 and number 2 picks from the same draft were traded within like 3 weeks of each other, if not 2 weeks. Right? Like during their tenure, both these guys made Pro Bowls. Both their teams made the Super Bowl. And both these teams are like, man, when you get this guy the fuck out of our life forever, please, like forever. We don't ever want to see him again. And PFF's so shady, man. I like it. The shadier they get, the more I think I like PFF. Right under the trade announcement, they posted his PFF scores. Carson Wentz, his rookie year, 2016, he was 21st in the league. 2017, that was his best year. He was 5th in the league. 2018, he was 14th. 2019, he was 14th. 2020, he was 31st. There are 32 teams in the NFL, just for reference. And I don't know if anybody else finds it intriguing, but when I think about that, he had his best year in 13 games for a team that won the Super Bowl without him, meaning they were stacked without him. And it's been 3 years since he played them good 13 games. And it's still like, man, the coach just fixed all their problems. Maybe. You know what I mean? They hope so, right? Like they got a pretty good, like they got a good line and defense. play in a dome. I don't know if that'll help the injuries or help him stop fumbling, but it's worth a chance. Like, sure, what the hey? But I do got to say, Deshaun Watson, if you're listening, I know you are. Deshaun, let this be a lesson to you that you handled your trade request all wrong, right? See, what you did was have one of the best seasons in the NFL this year, and then signed a deal that hasn't kicked in yet, then asked for a trade after the front office lied to you. You did it all wrong, boy. What you should have done was have a good 11 or 12 games 4 years ago, right? Had your team win the Super Bowl without you. Then you sign the deal. Then you get benched for a rookie. Then you have your team ask for 2 first-round picks in a trade and settle on maybe getting 1. Then you go to the team that you wanted to go to all along and escape any kind of criticism from Brett Favre. That's how you do it. That's how you play the game, dum-dum. So let this be a lesson to you, Deshaun. We're all young. We're all dumb. We make mistakes. Just let Carson Wentz show you how it's done. And one last thing on Wentz. You already know what I'm going to say. I don't ever want to hear cap hell ever again. And I don't ever want to hear cap hit ever again. I don't want to hear that a team can't make a move because of cap hell. I don't want to hear that a team can't make a move either cutting or releasing a guy because of cap hit. I read the Eagles will eat $33.8 million in dead money by trading Carson Wentz. Just in case you thought Jared Goff's $22.2 million dead cap hit was a lot. That's $56 million in quarterbacks that they was like, please leave. Please go away. We don't even want you in the same time zone. Man, just go and get up out of here. So I don't ever want to hear about either one of those ever again because it's starting to sound like, when small market teams in baseball is like, hey, man, what are they supposed to do? Re-sign their good players? Right? You got them for 6 years. You just let them go. With Kansas City Royals, with Pittsburgh Pirates, what are we supposed to do? Pay these guys? So it sounded like when small market teams in baseball were saying they couldn't spend, even though the Pittsburgh Pirates literally became $1 billion organization. And fans just ate it up. Fans was like, well, what can you do? Listen, Mookie Betts, win MVP, help you win a ring. What are you supposed to do? Pay this guy what he wants? That's crazy. It's balderdash. So don't buy it. I don't want to hear shit else about cap hell. I don't want to hear shit else about cap hits ever again. Please and thank you. And speaking of Deshaun Watson, got a question about him. So again, we'll jump right to it. El Broad says, we had a discussion in the CPF chat today on the Discord about which team is truly the best fit for Deshaun if he does get traded. Some of the teams brought up included the Dolphins, 49ers, and Broncos. Who do you truly think is the best option for him, accounting for their weapons on offense, status of the team's defense, and any other obvious factors you feel like considering? Thanks. First things first, no thank you, yo broads. Somebody says thank you to you. You don't say you're welcome. That's played out. You say thank you. So thank you, L Broads. I feel like a couple teams, basically any team but the Chiefs would be a good team for Deshaun Watson. But the Dolphins are in great shape. I saw they were 18th in offensive DVOA, 11th in defensive DVOA. What kind of concerns me a little bit about them, you know what I mean, is they were 23rd or worse in pass block and run block win rate. So don't have a great offensive line. They didn't have many weapons. I know they had a couple guys opt out, I believe, like receivers and offensive line, so that might fix itself. Because the Rona won't be here by the time the NFL season starts. That's what Adam Schefter told me. Game on. But they didn't have many weapons, but that doesn't, you know what I'm saying? Deshaun has shown he can cook without that. But Dolphins is a great place. Broncos, I don't really like the Broncos for him. Like, they're another one. Their offensive line was in the 20s in pass block and run block win rate. And I just don't trust them to build around him, to be honest. I'm not sure on Vic Fangio as a coach. I'm just not sure. Like, again, they should trade for him. I don't know if it'd be in his best interest, but they should trade for him. I think San Francisco would be cool. Like, if Shanahan really this genius, I think this is the first year that they can get off Jimmy Garoppolo with like no dead cap money. And again, even if it could be $100 million of dead cap money, I don't care anymore. They should still trade for Deshaun Watson. But I think Washington's the move, man. I really do think Washington is the move. And I wouldn't wish this on them. Because, like, just dropping your horrible name don't mean you're not still a horrible organization. But just football-wise, like, it's a terrible division. Terrible division. They had a top 3 defense in DVOA, a young defensive line, some young studs on that defense. And they were dead last in offensive DVOA. Like, if you just get Deshaun Watson there and he plays 16 games, there's only so bad you will be. I don't care how bad everything else around him is. You will not be 32nd. Their offensive line was 14th or better in both pass block and run block win rate, so they could put a decent line with them. They've got Antonio Gibson, who really got like a wide receiver halfback, which I can respect because he puts the wide receiver part first. They got Terry McLaurin. He's nice. So those, like, you got a couple weapons, got an offensive line, got a defense, and got a trash division. Washington feels like the obvious choice. Feels like the obvious choice to me. Wouldn't that 4 look good in the burgundy and gold, man? Like, they first round picks on defense, they do pretty well. But their last, like, offensive first round picks were Josh Doxson and Dwayne Haskins. Like, you're not good at drafting offensive players, and it's like RG3 and Brandon Sheriff. So, yeah, trade them little 2-3 first rounders, get Deshaun in there. Even if your defense is, again, it don't have to be top 3 because your offense is not going to be dead last anymore. So I would say Washington's the move. And before the Wentz trade, I thought it might be some hope for the Eagles, man. Just because, the only reason is I know that the Texans' new owner or GM or whatever is like a big Jesus guy. And I know Carson Wentz is a big Jesus guy. That's really all it takes in the NFL. Like, you like Jesus? I like Jesus. Here's my card. Right? Would have swapped them both conferences, satisfied. Like, the new quarterback for the Texans, got him some draft capital. But no, Carson Wentz is a cult now. So there'll be none of that. But I do very much think that Washington should make that push for Deshaun Watson. Like, if it's going to take 3 first-round picks, and it's going to take 3 first-round picks. Like, they've got enough around him, enough cheap. Like, I don't think any of the guys, like Chase Young, Montez Sweat on defense, McLaurin hadn't been paid yet. Antonio Gibson was just a rookie. The line is solid. Their line was pretty good, and they traded. Like, just had Trent Williams, just traded him. Just traded him. They might have an extra pick this draft from that. I don't know if that already conveyed, but I throw that in there too to get Deshaun Watson over Taylor Heineke. Taylor Heineke re-signed. He had 2 games, end of the regular season and the playoff game. He lost both of them. Now, against the Rams, he did look solid. They weren't ever really in fear, but they did look solid there. And he got 2 years, $8 million. I think Jameis was playing last year on the minimum. I think Cam was playing on the minimum. Like, why would you? I just don't get that. It's like, okay, yeah, no, let's give $4 million to maybe a backup quarterback. When, I don't know, maybe, what's Jacoby Brissett going to go for? Like, if you want a backup quarterback, is he going to cost you $4 million? And if so, you're going to have to give him 2 years for it? So, I don't know if Washington making good decisions like that, but if they were, I would say Deshaun felt like a shoe-in. That's the basket I'll put my eggs in. And speaking of sports, the NBA All-Stars. The starters were announced last night. By the time you've heard this, they won't have been announced. But at the time I'm recording this, they've yet to be announced. So it feels fair to announce mine. Right? First, I'll say it's going to be 12 spots for each team. I think it should be 15. I really do. Like, 1, the game doesn't fucking matter. It's an exhibition game. Who cares? It could be 85 people on each. Like, who cares? 2, I don't think it cheapens anything. Like, I've heard talk, it's like, well, you know, it cheapens, the more people you add, it cheapens it. And I don't agree with that. Jeff Teague and Kyle Korver and Mo Williams made All-Star game. Nothing gonna make it cheaper than that. Nothing. Right? And I understand it's like, okay, well, if you make it 15, somebody's still going to get snubbed. They'll still say, why couldn't it be 18? Why wouldn't it be 20? I don't care about those people, and you shouldn't either. I think it should be 15. So I'm picking 15. My starters are the only ones that I have in stone. Reserves, these are as of now, because I think reserves, it might be another 2 weeks, and a lot can happen in 2 weeks. So I'll probably write up my final choices, but my starters for the East, I've got Joel Embiid, Kevin Durant, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Bradley Beal, and James Harden. And the toughest, I guess, debate here for me was Harden or Kyrie, because I've seen a lot of Kyrie starting. But I've got Harden over Kyrie for a couple reasons. One, Kyrie has played 100 more minutes than James Harden this year as a net. As a net, not even including his Houston time, where he was dogging it but still doing numbers. 100 more minutes. That's not a big enough gap to me. All right. In their Nets time, Kyrie is at 28 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists on 53% from the field, 44% from 3, 92% from the line. James Harden, in only his Nets time, is at 24 points, 8 rebounds, 12 assists. Right? So doubled him up on assists, and he's shooting 50, 41, 91. So Harden shooting better from 2. He's taking more threes and more free throws and making them at a comparable rate. And he's got them doubled up in assists. He's a better defender. Like whether I don't think the gap is all that huge. It's not like he's locking up. But I would have James Harden starting. I don't think he will. He might not even make it, man, just because people were mad at the way he got out of there. But now he'll definitely be reserved. But I got him starting. So my reserves are for the East. Kyrie Irving, he's in there. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Chris Middleton, Zach LaVine, Bam Adebayo, and Julius Randle. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait till Julius Randle gets snubbed and me and the Knicks fans get to take to the street and burn it down from socially distance. We are all 6 feet apart, just burning different parts of the city down. And I still got 3 more. That's just 12. My last for like the reserves, because there's only really going to be 12. LaVine versus Trae Young was a hard choice. That was a hard choice. Trae is at 27, 4 boards, 9 assists, shooting 43, 37, 89. Zach LaVine's at 29, 5 boards, 5 assists, shooting 52, 44, 85. So I went LaVine. Like, he's shooting about 10 points higher from the field. 10 points higher from the field. He's taking more threes and making more threes, 44% to 37%. I think that gives him the nod. Even though Trae is a better playmaker, he's getting to the line about twice as much, and neither are really defenders. I think LaVine's probably been better defensively. Again, not saying a whole lot. So I'd give LaVine that nod there. My last 3 that I've got in, if it's 15, it is in my game, because there shouldn't be a game anyway. How about that? My last 3 in are Trae Young, give me Ben Simmons, and Domantas Sabonis. And that one was a close one between Sabonis or Vucevic. But I went Sabonis. Like, I don't really care about team record. I just think he's a better playmaker for others. They rebound about the same, score about the same. And he's getting to the line about like twice as much than Vooch. Vooch shooting a little bit better, but Sabonis is back shooting threes a little bit. So I give him that last nod. So that's my 15 for the East. My West starters, I've got Nikola Jokic, Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Dame Lillard. And I feel like the first 4 pretty much locks. The only real debate, and I feel like Luka might get it, but I had Dame versus Luka for the last spot. Luka's at 29 points, 9 boards, 9 assists, 48, 34, 80 shooting. Dame's at 30 points, 4 boards, 8 assists, 45, 38, 93 shooting. And I give Dame the advantage. Like, he's the better shooter. He turns the ball over less. They get to the line about the same, which is a little surprising considering just like the size difference between he and Luka. Luka's a better rebounder, better defender, but got to keep in mind that Luka's quote-unquote hot shooting spree has him up to like 34% from 3, a career high. And Dame is shooting more and making more threes, so I give Dame the nod there. My reserves are Doncic, Paul George, Donovan Mitchell, Brandon Ingram, Anthony Davis, Chris Paul, and Rudy Gobert. I don't want to put him there, but he got to be there. I feel like all those are pretty, like, straightforward. AD would probably, I don't know what AD doing, man. He probably shouldn't have been playing in the first place. They said they're going to keep him out a couple weeks. I don't know when the All-Star game's supposed to be. He'll be elected. I don't know if he plays. So my last three in are Devin Booker, Zion Williamson, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. It was close for Shai versus De'Aaron Fox, and it hurt my feelings to even talk about it or really look at the numbers. So I won't talk the numbers, but I do think Shai is deserving. I don't think he will make it, but I do think he is deserving. I've heard talk of like should three Jazz members get in? I don't believe that to be true. Again, I'm looking at like individual play here. Booker versus Paul was a tough one, but Chris Paul has been coming on lately. Like, he's just a better playmaker, better defender than Book, and I still got Book in my last three in. So those are my all-star choices for now. Again, I think I'll write up my final ones. Starters, I can't see any of the starters really switching from here to now, but reserves is still like Hammy Diallo. If you listening to this, don't give up, man. He might be one of my last three in. Tyler Herro, Kevin Knox. You know what I'm saying? Still a lot of time left. Still a whole lot of time left. Random thought alert. I hate those Sprite commercials. I hate those Sprite commercials. Somebody goes into a convenience store, they buy a Sprite, and the person ringing them up, a person checking them out is like, oh man, it's cool to have a singer in here. And they're like, singer, fuck you, old man. I invent music, dickweed. I'm going to have my boys burn down your store and beat your children. It's like, just buy the Sprite and go, man. Is this supposed to make me like you? You just being a dickhead to somebody that complimented you, that's supposed to make me like you more? Get out of here. Like, I don't know who any of those people are, and now I'm going out of my way to make sure that I don't know who any of them are. And I love Sprite. But goddamn, I hate those commercials. Next question says, I just finished season 2 of Peaky Blinders. Got me wondering, who would Trilly be bumping elbows and getting plastered with if he got to spend the night at the Garrison? Also, might be a deep dive, but could you talk about the Ricky Williams draft day trade? I think it's the loudest pack for your first round running back argument. First things first, I take it like you mean like who from the Peaky Blinders world, who would I want to get drunk with at the Garrison? I got to go me and Arthur, man. Me and Arthur just tossing them back, having a good time in a shirt and tie and suspenders for some reason. There's some respectable ladies there. He break out a little Tokyo. He knows the owner, so you know what I'm saying? We're not paying for anything. I don't want to drink nothing with John Boy. He a loose cannon. I don't want to drink nothing with Finn because he's 12 years old. And Tommy would be, you know what I'm saying? Tommy too self-aware, too cool, to really get hammered. Not Arthur. So, give me Arthur Shelby and myself, just throwing him back. And the second part, yes, I can take a look at the Ricky Williams draft day trade. And I'll do you one better. I'll take a look at the draft day trade and that horrible contract he received. So, the Ricky Williams trade. The Saints tried to trade all of their draft picks in the 1998 draft. Ricky Williams in the 1999 draft. But I'm giving you a little context. It's a deep dive, you understand. The Saints tried to trade all of their picks in the 1998 draft to acquire one of the top 2 picks, which they intended to use on Peyton Manning or Ryan Leaf. But their overtures were rejected. Leading up to the 1999 draft, Mike Ditka, who was their coach and GM, I guess, decided that he wanted Williams to play for the Saints. At the NFL owners meeting held 2 months before the draft, he publicly stated he would trade his entire draft to acquire Ricky Williams. I got to say, great for your leverage. Great leverage, Mike. Just try to do something a year before and then announce it publicly. Hey, everybody, I'm willing to give the shirt off my back to draft this guy. And as I think about it, one, what a horrible Horrible thing to do. And two, I don't know if there's a single person that I'd turn down somebody's entire draft for, right? Like even Trevor Lawrence, who is probably, as can't miss can be. But like the Lions have the number 7 pick, right? If they offered every single pick in the draft to Jacksonville for number 1, Jacksonville would have to take that, no? Every single, I don't know. But in the 1999 draft, the Bengals turned down the following trade to draft Akili Smith. All of the Saints' 1999 draft picks, and it would have moved them from pick 3 to 12. Like it wouldn't even move you like out of the first round. You would have moved from pick 3 to number 12. A first round pick in 2000, which eventually became the number 2 pick overall. A first round pick in 2001, which became the 23rd pick, and a second round pick in 2002, which was pick 44. That was 10 draft picks they turned down to move back 9 spots, and they drafted Akili fucking Smith with it. Don't you ever root for a team in your life, or I'll hunt you down. So the Saints eventually took a deal with Chicago, right, to go from 12 to 5 to jump up and get Ricky Williams. The entire trade ended up being their 1999 first round pick, which is used to select Cade McNown. Their 99 third round pick used to select Dwayne Bates. Their 4th round pick, Nate Stimson. 5th round pick, Kari Samuel. 6th round pick, Desmond Clark. 7th round pick, Billy Miller. 2000 first round pick, which was used to select LeVar Arrington. Oh, I take that back. Excuse me. Washington took this deal. They eventually traded those picks, some of those picks to Chicago, but Washington took this deal. Washington. The 2000 first round pick they used to select LeVar Arrington 2nd overall, and their 2000 third round pick, 64th overall, used to select Lloyd Harrison. So Washington got all of that, had 2 of the top 3 picks in the 2000 draft. Pick 2 guys, pick Chris Samuel and LeVar Arrington. Both those guys made the top 80 Redskins of all, or 80 greatest Redskins of all time. And they finished above 500 twice in their tenure. Twice. And they won 1 playoff game. So it's a huge argument. Hey, get all the picks you can, right? More lottery tickets give you more chances. But it's also like, hey, man, you're holding on to these picks like they're gold. They got a 1st, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, a 1st the next year, or 1st and 3rd the next year, and did dick with it. Did nothing with it. And Ricky Williams was in New Orleans for 3 years. So that's a horrible trade, first off. But the Bengals trade, man, that's much worse. All the Saints 99 draft picks, a 1st round in 2000, a 1st round in 2001, and a 2nd round in 2002. That's chaos. Like, again, I just think if somebody offered that for Trevor Lawrence, I would take that deal, even acknowledging how good Trevor Lawrence is probably going to be. And again, Washington got all that, did some more trading, again with the Bears, trade some of them picks to Denver, and did nothing with it. You could have all them picks, hit on some of them. They had 2 of the top 3 picks, dude. 2 of the top 3. Like, if somebody had 2 of the top 3 picks right now, it's like, oh my God, we're going to get Justin Fields and Penny Sewell, the left tackle. Like, our left tackle and quarterback are just set. And then over the next decade, they make the playoffs twice. Or finish over 500 twice and win 1 playoff game. To me, it stinks. So that's the horrible Ricky Williams trade. And again, like you talk about more evidence for my don't draft a 1st round running back. I'm running out of space for evidence now, man. I don't even know where to put all this damn evidence that you should never draft a running back before day 17. But the Ricky Williams contract, quiet as it's kept, was much worse than the Ricky Williams trade. I feel like a lot of people know it was bad. I don't know if they remember how bad it was. I know I certainly did it. So I did the homework there too. This contract, which was signed by Master P, yes, that Master P, called for Williams to earn the minimum base salary for each year of the contract. And it was heavily weighted on incentives which were difficult to achieve. Williams earned $3.8 million his rookie season. Conversely, Edgerrin James, who was selected one pick before Williams, he took a more standard contract. He earned $14.8 million as a rookie. He earned $11 million more just by taking like a standard contract. And also being cold, because Edgerrin James was the coldest dude. But the Saints were also allowed to exercise an option for an 8th season at no cost, simply by sending a letter of intent. Okay? So there were 26 incentives in the contract. 538 did a good article where they broke down, like, not even just Ricky Williams, how many running backs from 1989 to 2015 would have achieved those 26 incentives. I'm not going to read them all because a lot of them are based on like team success, like 45% of offensive snaps. Your team improves in offensive points and ranks top 25. 18 running backs would have hit that. Like on average, 18 running backs a year would have hit that. 41 plus receptions. 17 running backs would have hit that. 1,601 or more yards of total offense. 6 running backs would have hit that. 12 rushing touchdowns. 4 running backs would have hit that. Offensive Rookie of the Year, 0.6 would have hit that. 801 plus receiving yards, 0.6 would have hit that. NFL MVP and another incentive, 0.4 running backs would have hit that. 12 receiving touchdowns, no running backs would have hit that. And 18.6 yards per reception, no running backs would have hit that. Those were some of the incentives. Also, Super Bowl MVP was in there. Now, at the time, a running back had won Super Bowl MVP 3 times in the previous 7 years. Terrell Davis being the most recent one. It was 1999. It hasn't happened since. A running back hasn't won it since. And I say good. Also, no running back has ever caught 12 receiving touchdowns. Ever. Not Marshall Faulk, not Christian McCaffrey, Kamar, none of them. And no running back has ever averaged 18.6 yards per reception. I don't know why those were incentives. Those were terrible incentives to add. So, the maximum on money he could get per year for incentives, like he could only hit 10 incentives, right? I just told you there were 26, but he would only get maxed out for 10, meaning if he hit all 26, it'd be the same as hitting 10 because he wasn't going to get paid out past the 10. Strike number 2 on a horrible deal. But he would get $1 million for hitting 1,600 yards, $1.5 million for 1,800 rushing yards, $2 million for 2,000, $2.5 million for 2,100, and $3 million for breaking the all-time rushing record of 2,105 rushing yards. Now, he'd have to do this every single year to get his money and hit the maximum value, you understand? It's not like, okay, hey, your rookie year, you rushed for 2,000. That triggered the $2 million for every year. No, if you want that $2 million again next year, you better rush for another 2,000. You want $2.5 million next year, you better rush for 2,100. And if you break the all-time rushing record for $3 million, you better do it again if you want that $3 million. He'd have to do these every single year to get the money and hit maximum value for the contract. Another part of the contract was after year 4, and these were pretty much like the Terrell Davis incentives. They pretty much just looked at Terrell Davis's contract and was like, if you can beat Terrell Davis, you'll get paid. And Ricky Williams and Master P and his agent were like, done. So, 4 incentives he would have had to have 6,413 rush yards. I think that's exactly how many Terrell Davis had, which is about an average of 1,600 per season. He would have had about 1,900 total yards per season. He would have had to average 4.8 yards per carry and scored 366 points. Those are the 4 incentives, right? About 1,600 rushing yards per season, 1,900 total yards, 4.8 yards a carry, and 366 point score. Okay. Ricky Williams hit none of them. He went 0 for 4. Only Terrell Davis, again, who the deal was built after, hit all 4. And over the same time, only Emmitt Smith, Barry Sanders, and Marshall Faulk would have even hit 3 out of 4. And again, Ricky hit 0. Not a one of them. Like if LaDainian Tomlinson, it said in the article, LaDainian Tomlinson in 2001 signed this deal, before he went on like a great 7 to 8 year stretch, he would have made $17 million. The maximum value of the contract was $68 million. LaDainian Tomlinson would have made $17 million. Again, Edgerrin James went the pick before him. He made $15 million his rookie year. Ricky Williams made $14 million over the life of this deal with the Saints, over the 3 years he was with the Saints. $14 million over 3 years, and Edge made 15 his first year just by being like, yeah, no, I'm fine with that. I need my money up front. Emmitt Smith, from 92 to 98, probably the best 7 or 8 year run for a running back ever, right? Like, he's the all-time leading rusher. He scored a lot of touchdowns. He was catching passes. He was doing it for a winning team because a lot of the incentives were based on the team winning. He would have made $34 million on this. He would have made half of the $68 million max deal. Emmitt Smith, who won 3 Super Bowls in that time, won an MVP, didn't get. I think he might have got one of the Super Bowl MVPs before they stopped giving him the running backs, wisely, might I add, and did it for a winning team, caught passes, scored touchdowns, all that. And he would have hit half of the incentives. So Ricky Williams didn't stand a chance. Right? It's amazing that he had the career he did, end up rushing for 10,000 yards, because with the trade they made for him, that was a lot of pressure. And then this deal, he would have had to be me in 86 to even have a chance before I blew my knee out. Like Barry Sanders, they showed Tomlinson, Marshall Faulk, all these guys over like the best 7 years of their career would have hit about half. That's how tough these incentives were. And this was Ricky Williams, like, coming into the league, no money under his belt. They want him to earn it. I don't know about that. How about you just run me my bread up front? So that was the Ricky Williams terrible draft day trade, which was not his fault, and the terrible contract signed, which was his fault. Next question. Are there any sports highlight videos you come back to often? Personally, I probably watch Clay's 38-point quarter once a month. Could be a play or just a general highlight video. Bonus points for including different sports. I'll say this. While I was looking up the greatest athletes, was that last episode, I fell down a Usain Bolt rabbit hole, man. I watched him break the 100-meter dash record like 7 times. Like, sometimes at the Olympics, sometimes at the world record, just watching him pull away, watching him look back at everybody else is like, man, y'all really trying to catch me. That is so cute. So I can fall down a Usain Bolt rabbit hole anytime. I feel like on Twitter it's Barry Sanders' birthday like 9 times a year, which I'm fine with. So I watch like the 10-minute compilation of him every time. Like, I know which runs have come. I was like, oh, here's the one where Rodney Peete throws up his hands before Barry even break the line of scrimmage. He just knew it was good. I watched that one quite a bit. I will fall down a Bonds, like Bonds just hitting shots into McCovey Cove. Watch people in boats just scramble to go get a baseball and some filthy water. I watch a lot of that. But probably the most random, like, specific moment that I go back to, if you remember LeBron, it was his first time in Cleveland. It wasn't his rookie year, I don't think, but it was his first tenure in Cleveland. And he scored 16 points in 2 minutes against the Bucks. And there's like the whole just like uncut clip of it, which I think makes it better. Like, you get to see, like, what no timeouts, what no fade ins, no fade outs. You get to see it all. And he just he hits a 3 and he just starts pulling up from further and further away. Right? Like, he hit one like right at the 3-point line, hit a 2-pointer. I think he shot a couple free throws. It showed like the other team shoot a couple free throws. He come down and shoot like a 24-footer, cash. Next time, like a 27-footer, cash. And then by the next time, everybody just knows what's coming. He's just sprinting up the court. And he's just stopping like a couple feet inside the logo and just letting it fly. And the announcers and the crowd are going crazy. And this is before LeBron could shoot. You know what I'm saying? Like, him pulling up now, not really that special. But this is when it was like, yeah, the one thing he can't do is shoot. And so it's like, oh my God, if he's hitting threes like this, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. And it would be a wrap, but not yet. So those are probably the main ones that I find myself going back to. Next question. What's worse, being a sports fan or believing in people? I'll hang up and listen. I say sports. I say sports because it's both, right? You're invested in the sport itself and you're believing in people, right? Like you got to believe in, it's more than just the stuff on the field. You got to believe in the front office. You got to believe in the coaches. You got to believe in the players. You got to believe in the referees, all that. And it could all break right. You know what I'm saying? And you still might lose and have nothing to show for it. So I think it's sports by far. I think sports are definitely the worst investment of all time. I think children got to be a close second, but I would avoid both personally. And yeah, I think it's got to be sports because, again, it just involves you believing in people. Like believing in people, which is a fucking fool's task, doesn't require sports. But believing in sports or being a sports fan requires you believing in people. So sports by far. Random thought alert. It's a really bad sign when you know the name of like other states' governors. Like if somebody know the name of the governor in your state and they didn't used to live there, got some family there, or they not in politics themselves, it's probably a bad sign, right? Like if there's some people in Texas listening to this, man, I hope y'all been getting by, man. It looked terrible what's going on there. Like no, people ain't had power for days of water. I saw people lined outside getting water like in buckets from, I don't know if a pipe burst, I don't know what it was, but they were lined up outside. And the caption was like, this is not a third world country. This is just Houston. And it's like, well, the people there are being treated like it's a third world country. Like I know Greg Abbott. He's the governor of Texas. And I know that because he's a bitch that won't help his people at all. But it's a bad sign that I know that. You know what I'm saying? That's a bad sign. I've had conversations with people who know our governor, Georgia's governor, Brian Kemp, because they know he's not worth shit. And when they bring him up, we like hold hands and bow our heads and we actively pray for his demise together. You know what I'm saying? So just not a great sign when people that don't live or didn't used to live in your state know the name of your governor. It's that time again. It's time for our Black History Month deep dive. And today, our deep dive will be Ida B. Wells. Okay? Ida B. Wells, a legendary figure. And I'll tell you why. Ida B. Wells was an educator. She was an investigative journalist and one of the founders of the NAACP. Now, she was born into slavery, 1862 in Mississippi. Her grandfather was a slave owner. So you can, you know what I'm saying, you can kind of do the math on her lineage there. Grandfather was a slave owner. Her parents were freed, the Emancipation Proclamation, the next year, 1863. Now, her parents, this is related but kind of not related. I was just interested by this. Her parents were enslaved to an architect named Spires Bowling. Bowling or Bowling. I don't really care because he was a slave owner. A nigga named Spires. Spires Bowling. The house where they lived, meaning like Ida B. Wells and her brothers and sisters and her parents lived enslaved to this man, was called the Bowling Gatewood House. And now it's called the Ida B. Wells Barnett Museum. That was her married name. I only mention this because I'm really not sure. I'm so torn on if having the house that you and your family were raised as enslaved people, and we're going to be, right? You know what I'm saying? A lot of people didn't find out about that Emancipation Proclamation. That's some of the Juneteenth, but maybe we'll do Juneteenth next week. But the house you were raised in, you and your siblings and your parents were enslaved in, is now a museum with your name on it. I'm really not sure if that's like the ultimate flex, like the ultimate rags to riches, or it's the ultimate disrespect and it should be torn down. I'm really undecided. Y'all let me know what y'all think, because I'm torn. I lean toward the latter. Is disrespect, but I'm open to both sides. So, back to Ida B. Wells. When she was 16 years old, yellow fever struck. Killed her parents, both her parents and her brother. She just happened to be away at her grandmother's house. And her remaining siblings, she had 6 remaining siblings, they were going to be broken up, sent to different foster homes. And Ida B. Wells was like, nah, it's not going down like that. So she started teaching at a black elementary school in the area. Again, she was 16, 17 years old. That was the start of her career as an educator. One of, again, many careers that she would go on to have. When she was 21, fast forward a couple years, she was on a train when a conductor ordered her to give up her seat in the first class ladies' car and move to the smoking car, right, which is already crowded. Now, the previous year, the Supreme Court had sided in favor of the railroads, saying that, like, no, it's actually fine to segregate passengers. No, it's definitely fine, said the Supreme Court, which is why something being legal is not always a good argument. Because, again, this was technically legal. So when somebody bring up something to you now and they're like, well, I mean, you didn't break any laws. Well, this is the type of shit that was legal then and now. So keep that in mind. So she was asked to move to the colored car, pretty much. She refused and was dragged out of the car. A 21-year-old woman was dragged out of the car by 3 grown men. Right. Now, she wrote about this experience in the newspaper article. And she decided she was going to sue the railroad, hired a black attorney, and was going to sue the railroad. The attorney was paid off by the damn railroad. It's like, I tell you, man, everybody wearing your uniform don't play for your team. All right, so he was paid off by the railroad. She hired a white attorney, and she won the case. She won you know what type of evidence and fact she would have had to have for a black woman in 1880 something, Mississippi, to win a case against the railroad? But the railroad appealed. The decision was reversed, of course, and she was ordered to pay court costs. Okay, so she kept writing about that. She was like, bet, I'm gonna write about this BS too. And she kept teaching, but she ended up losing her teaching job because she was writing articles that pointed out like the terrible conditions of the black schools in her area. She moved to Memphis. I don't know if she was going to Memphis or she was already in Memphis for the train business, but Mississippi, Memphis area, right? Fast forward again, 1889, a friend of hers was lynched. Basically, he had a grocery store, little sidebar. He had a grocery store. This is in Memphis, South Memphis. He had a grocery store across from like a white grocery store. And he was doing much better than a white grocery store. So a black boy and a white boy were playing marbles outside the store and got into a fight. The black kid was whooping his ass, giving it to him real good. So the white kid's father jumped in and started beating the black kid. After that, two black employees from the black store jumped in to even the odds. Okay, so you can imagine what this might have did to the racial tensions in South Memphis, late 1880s. I'll let you do that math there. So a mob set out to find one of the employees that stepped in. Right, so when they went to go find these employees that stepped in, the blacks fought back. All right, so to stop this, several dozen white people were deputized, like on the spot, to like stop this uprising. Just deputized on the spot. You a sheriff, and you a sheriff, and you a sheriff, all that Oprah type shit. Ultimately, a mob of 75 white men went to get the 3 black men they were looking for, the store owner and the 2 blacks that helped in the fight, and lynched them. They called reporters in advance to witness the lynching so they could report about it in gruesome fashion. They wanted this to be known, right? And that's why I'm going to read the following. Quote, at the railroad, McDowell, one of the men, struggled mightily and at one point managed to grab a shotgun from one of his abductors. After the mob wrestled it from him, they shot at his hands and fingers inch by inch until they were shot to pieces. They shot 4 holes into McDowell's face, each large enough for a fist to enter. His left eye was shot out, and the ball hung over his cheek in shreds. his jaw was torn out by buckshot. And where his right eye had been, there was a big hole which his brains oozed out. Those are direct quotes. Will Stewart, who was one of the employees, described as the most stoic of the three, was unyielding to the last. He was also shot on the right side of the neck with a shotgun and was shot with a pistol in the neck and the left eye. Moss, who was the store owner, was also shot in the neck, and his dying words reported in the papers were to tell my people to go west. There is no justice for them here. End quote. So that's the type of shit they was on, right? It was like, we want the reporters to see what we're going to do to them. And they did, and they reported it. Shot this man 4 times in his face, blew his jaw off, shot his fingers off one by one for daring to jump in a fight where a grown white man was beating up a black child. Back to Ida. The store owner and Ida were close. She was the godmother to his first child, right? So this, especially hit home to her. So she started writing about that too, right? And then taking with Will Stewart's last words, she was encouraging people to leave the South. Like there was starting to be talk of like, oh, it's a new South. This ain't the, it ain't the 1860s no more. It's a new South. And she was writing, she was like, no, it pretty much looked like the old one. Like hard to tell the difference. So after that, she was encouraging people to leave the South. She started investigating different lynchings. She started interviewing people associated with the lynchings. And she ended up breaking a case where the father of a white woman begged a lynch mob to kill a black man. And they ultimately did. That his daughter was having a consensual sexual relationship with, to, quote, save the reputation of his daughter. Save the reputation of his daughter. He could not have it come out that his daughter was having a consensual relationship with a black man. So he begged a lynch mob to kill this man. So, as you can imagine, the whites of the area and of this time took this as a chance to examine their actions, really reflect on what they'd been doing, and change their actions, really change their thoughts, their words, and their deeds. She was very well received. The end. No, I'm just kidding. I almost had you there. Newspapers began publishing death threats against her just for writing these things. And she was just writing things to be true. You know what I'm saying? Kill the messenger, not the message, I think is always what they said. So, had death threats published against her. A mob destroyed the office of the newspaper she was working in. But the joke's on them because she was up in New York at the time, right? So after that happened, she just stayed there. She was just like, I'm not going back, right? So she stayed there, began putting her research together, like from newspaper articles into like a pamphlet. She called the pamphlet Southern Horrors, Lynch Law in All Its Phases. And she laid out that many of these rape allegations were false for numerous reasons. Like they were either threatened by black economic progress. That was one big thing. They were lying to hide consensual relationships. That's another big thing. And the lynchings were used to reinforce blacks as second-class citizens. So she was telling black people, 1, get out of the South. 2, start carrying arms to protect yourself. Right? Like it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. You might as well have that fire on you. You know what I mean? And her words, not mine. So more death threats came after the first pamphlet. She wrote another one. She wrote an even more detailed pamphlet. She was like, y'all ain't seen nothing yet. This one's called The Red Record. Again, this is even more detailed with more cases, more research, more depictions of lynching. Surprisingly, this one didn't get much traction in the States. I give you a second to collect yourself. I too am shocked that these terrible whites didn't want to hear about themselves. So she started going to Britain. She went over the drink, I think Mosley called it. She went to Britain and would talk about the lynchings because the British whites were a lot more sympathetic, than the American whites, right? While she was over there, she became the first black woman to be a paid correspondent for a white mainstream newspaper. Like she was getting some buzz, getting some eyes on her work. She started doing speaking tours overseas. And at the end of her second speaking tour, the London Anti-Lynching Committee was established. This is the first such organization in the world. London ain't really had, I don't even know if London had lynchings like that, but they was like, hey, this is terrible. Something should be done. And Mississippi was like, you know what I mean? So the hype she got overseas, of course, spread back to America. And many articles began, again, more death threats for her. They were still criticizing her while ignoring what she was saying. The New York Times called her, quote, a slanderous and nasty, nasty-minded mulattress, end quote. That sounds familiar, don't it? But this only went to raise her profile even more, but raised it a little too high, right? She's still a woman, a black woman at that. Don't forget that. So she was seen as a little too radical for like W.B. Du Bois, Booker T. Washington, and some of the other leaders at the time. Like Frederick Douglass was a big fan, but once he died, most of the other people thought she was too radical. So as I mentioned earlier, she helped found the original NAACP, but her name was excluded from the original list of founders by Du Bois. Now, Du Bois said she asked to be excluded from that list. Ida B. Wells said, no, you took me off that list. I choose to believe her in this case. Right? She wasn't done there. She was still getting educated. She began starting schools, like elementary schools for black children. She started organizations for black women's right to vote and to work and to basically exist. You know what I'm saying? And this is how you know she was doing well, because the government had her under surveillance for being a, quote, dangerous race agitator. So anytime the government got eyes on you, you know what I'm saying, you're doing something right. She continued writing about riots, advocating for black workers' rights, particularly black women's workers' rights, until she died. And here's how close this is. She was born in 1862. Her grandson is still alive. He's a sociologist at Cal Berkeley right now. Like, he was president of the American Sociological Association. Her grandson, right? Ain't no great, 3 times removed. Her grandson is still alive today. That's how close this shit is. So don't let them ever tell you about how far ago this was or how long ago this was. Now, the house she lived in Chicago was made to a museum. That feels like a much, much better tribute to her. And she got, quotes for days. I got to read the actual red record. But a couple of my favorite quotes from her is one: the people must know before they can act, and there is no educator to compare with the press. Right? Like, she knew that because she went from educating to the press. So who would know it better than her? Second quote: the appeal to the white man's pocket has ever been more effectual than all the appeals ever made to his conscience. I'm going to read that again. The appeal to the white man's pocket has ever been more effectual than all the appeals ever made to his conscience. Like, she could have wrote that yesterday and it'd be just as true. And she was talking that shit back in the 1880s, daddy-o. So that's the Ida B. Wells deep dive. And this is just one last random tidbit I thought was funny. So when we went to San Francisco for the finals, 2019, right? We went to shoot something in front of the full house. You know, the row houses, they pink and blue, and y'all know colors. The full house, that one. You know what I'm saying? Michelle Tanner. Right across from those full house row houses is an Ida B. Wells High School. Feels like the ultimate tribute, even more than any museum. Just knowing that every time they did that, every time Bob Saget's filthy ass had to walk outside, he had to look at Ida B. Wells High School. I know they didn't film it there. Don't step on it. I'm in the zone right now. But yeah, Ida B. Wells High School on the same street, like a field separates the doobity baba ass houses and Ida B. Wells High School. So that was our Black History Month deep dive for this week. Ida B. Wells. Back to our questions. Next question says, please confirm if the rumors of Trilly LLC Withers are true or fabricated. And this was a Photoshop, a vicious Photoshop of someone from my Instagram account posting a message from @InvestingGoal. It's a picture of Leonardo DiCaprio as the Wolf on Wall Street. He got his hands kind of out in like the OK motion. right? Both hands doing the okay, so you know he about to say some real BS. And it says, if you are 20 to 30 and your main circle isn't discussing's in a different color font, opening businesses, investing, escaping the 9 to 5, fitness, and self-development, then it's time to find a new circle. Your network is your net worth. It's a play on words, you understand. You may have seen this on the pages of Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, numerous other black quarterbacks, I imagine. But this is Photoshop. This is sick. It's very sick. But there's a lot going on here. 20 to 30 is a big range, dude. That's a big range. Like, imagine me at 20 years old. I know some of y'all probably 20 years old and a friend come to you talking about some of this bullshit. Man, they get roasted out of the room. Like, boy, if you don't get your ass up out of here, about you invest in some bitches, little nigga. You talking about some damn escaping the 9 to 5. Second thing that came to mind, Deshaun has been paid, right? But Lamar hasn't yet. What's he investing? Right? Like, Lamar might not be able to escape that 9 to 5 yet because he might need it soon. It was like he got an MVP, and it was an article say he finally got the monkey off his back by winning the playoff game. They ain't say that for Baker Mayfield. You know what I'm saying? So you might need it. Like, are you saying you shouldn't escape the 9 to 5 yet, Lamar? But just be cool. Just be cool, brother. Then they talk about fitness. Like, how often do you think professional athletes talk about fitness? Like, really talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like the NBA where a 19-year-old kid who's not physically developed, right, gets to the league and people are trying to help him out, right? Football, everybody here is at least 3 years out of high school. You don't have 3 years to work on your body. Right? Like, Lamar Jackson got to tell Ronnie Stanley about the importance of keeping fit. Like, hey, man, maybe you should try Meatless Monday. And another, like, at 20 years old, you don't even know who you are. Like, to be talking about some self-development. You don't even know what you don't know yet because you're stupid. But you don't know that you're stupid because you're 20. And again, it's like, it's nothing wrong with wanting to progress and better yourself, of course. But you haven't even found yourself yet to know what you need to develop, right? Like, you got to get your ass whooped a couple times. But, okay, I need to work on my left and my jab. And like, you know what I'm saying? You got to find what you need to work on. You ain't found that at 20. And on the opening businesses investing part, have y'all not seen any of these athletes that went broke investing in terrible businesses, man? Can y'all sit y'all's ass down somewhere? Get you a decent financial person and stop talking to Master P. Stop letting Master P negotiate your contract. Like, you making $40 million, bro. You don't need a side hustle. Like, you can put that in some, you know what I'm saying, some little AMC, some little GameStop to make your money make money. But hey, no, come on, man. Stop with this. So, no, there are no rumors to the Trillia LLC. And I'll tell you more about it at this Forex meeting Friday. You can see Thomas for more details. Next question comes from SoP. SoP says 2 completely unrelated questions. 1, haven't heard any cereal talk in a while. Have you still been trying new stuff at all during the pandemic or any new things we should be aware of? 2, I know you don't like Tom Brady, which is more than understandable. Do you like Gronk, or did you ever meet him during your Barstool tenure when he came to New York? First question, I really haven't been on no new cereal kick, man. I've been on a Frosted Flakes kick. Like, I feel like I've eaten a bowl of Frosted Flakes every day for like a month. Like, that's just kind of my, all right, time to start the day. Like, I'm eating so much Frosted Flakes. I had some other cereal, right? Like, I buy it in bulk. I buy 12, 15, 19 boxes at a time. Don't judge me. I gave some of it away to the food bank, man. I got some more I got to give to the food bank. I was like, I'm not going to eat these. I'm on these flakes right now. So it's really only been flakes and Oreo minis, man. You catch the Oreo minis or the golden Oreo minis, 10 for 10, baby. Pour them in a bowl and drop that rice milk on them. I'm sticking to what's tried and what's true during these strenuous times. So I don't have my finger on the cereal pulse no more. I do still check the aisles. Like, I'm not opposed to it. I just ain't seen nothing that caught my eye yet. And for the second question, I like Gronk. I do like Gronk. Like, he gets after it. He go hard, but he feel pretty harmless. You know what I'm saying? Unless I'm missing some enormous scandal, which I'm sure I'll be told about, but I don't think it's bad guy Gronk. Again, he feels pretty on the level. I remember the thing a couple years ago, and it was like Cam Newton or any black football player really couldn't party or carry themselves or act like Gronk. And it's definitely some truth to that, but I can't hold that against Gronk, right? Like, that's not his fault. He didn't start that. He's not the one dragging people for this same shit. He just out here living life. So I do like Gronk. I never met him. He was on an episode of Mixtape, though. Like, there was one time he came in to, I don't know, do something randomly. I'm guessing with part of my take. But he, like, walked by the door while we were recording. And he just popped his head in. And he just started talking to Colin Devlin. And so on one episode, I think it was in the last year and a half or so. I know that narrows it down. But his voice is in the background. And thus we promoted it like this show was featuring Rob Gronkowski. So that's the closest I've ever been to meeting him. And one last thing on Gronk. I think he's definitely the best tight end of all time. I didn't really think this was controversial until I think Super Bowl Sunday. I think it was Bomani that said it. And I don't know if it was controversial because it was controversial or if people just want to disagree with everything Bomani says. But Gronk's the best tight end ever. Ever. Like over whoever you're thinking of. Over Gonzalez, over Gates, over Witten, over Kellen Winslow Sr. Whoever you're thinking of, Gronk is better. Pete Gronk is better. Like as a blocker, touchdown catcher. Like I said, like in his prime, trying to tackle Gronk, like the only way you're going to do it, you got to shoot the tires out. I feel like that's why he got hurt. Like the only way to do it is just throw yourself at his Achilles and hope for the best. I will say, that boy Kelsey doing numbers, man. He ain't Gronk yet. But I did see that Kelsey was the first tight end ever with 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons, which was surprising to me. I thought it was like nobody's had 4 before. And then he did it again. So he's the only person with 4 straight and now 5 straight. He's been pretty healthy. So I don't know when this stops. So he's climbing the list, but he's not better than Gronk. I do like Gronk. And speaking of SOP, this week we got Dan and SOP, the gentleman from the Morse Code podcast, back with another story. I'm guessing it's part 2 of how SOP's barber basically had him sign on a loan for him. You know what I'm saying? He just moved into SOP's house and started eating his lunch and kissing his wife on the cheek and all that. But I will pass it to the gentleman from the Morse Code and let him take the reins from here.
All right, so here we go. Thank you again, Tyler, for letting us on. This is Dan Morse and Soapy Priap of the Morse Code podcast. And this evening, I guess whenever you're listening to this, Soapy is going to dive into another somewhat recent story, similar to like last time. He was very much taking advantage of his barber. And this is another similar story of where Soapy was, you could argue, taken advantage of again. But I'll let him go ahead. Soapy?
All right, here we go. Thanks, CPFs. Looking forward to hearing people's response back to this and seeing if there's any suggestions that they would have done differently. So anyways, getting right into it. This was a few weeks ago. It was a Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon, and I get a knock on my door. And usually, like Dan and I had talked about this, when you have a visitor, like it's fucking 2021, someone texts you ahead of time. You don't really just get random knocks on your door. But I thought that it may have been a neighbor because I did recently have someone move in, so I figured I'd answer the door. I open the door and this guy goes, "Hey, like no worries. I'm not trying to convert you religiously or anything like that. I'm not a Jehovah's Witness. Just wanted to say hello. Judy from next door had said that I should come over here." And him just using someone's actual name, like that fucking tricked me first. He goes, "She said that I should come over here because we are just opening a business, probably about, it's like 5 minutes from my house. They're opening a cleaning and detailing business. And I guess the first 10 people that say yes and like open their door I live in a big townhouse complex, but the first 10 people that do that would get a free cleaning or free like steam cleaning." And I was like, "Oh, really? That sounds kind of cool." He hands me this pamphlet and he goes, "If you have a little bit of time, We only need a few more people. We've only got a couple more spots left out of the 10. So I took it hook, line, and sinker. And he goes, all right, I'll go get my guy. And I'm like, oh, right now? He goes, yeah, I got a guy over here who's ready to go. So he walks away. Another guy comes in from a van that I actually did see that was like, it was just the classic, like, here, this guy's the pitchman. This guy's going to come in and clean up. So the second guy comes in and he goes, hey, man, like a nice house or whatever. I'm like, that's kind of an interesting thing. Just clearly trying to butter me up. Of
course.
And he brings in his stuff. And mind you, I work from home. So I'm in the middle of my work day, like smack dab in the middle of a busy day. This guy comes in with a pretty big like bag of equipment, and he like kind of turns it around. Or at first I couldn't see it, and sure enough, I see Kirby Vacuum as the fucking logo, just like clear as day. Like if I didn't know what I was getting into before, I should have known at that point. And honestly, I really didn't, because I never had one of these experiences.
I didn't know those guys were still a real thing.
That was the biggest part. So, I was like, what kind of like a door-to-door salesman? So he comes in and he's like, yeah, nice house. Kind of complimenting everything, just being really nice. And then he sees my dog and he asked me if I had what kind of dog it was. I said, she's a German Shepherd Yellow Lab mix. And he goes, oh, that's pretty cool. And for anyone who's not familiar with me and Dan, or like never saw the episodes with when Tyler was on our show, I am of Southeast Asian descent. And and I could tell that this guy was too. So he's like, yeah,
icebreaker.
Yeah, that's what you think. He goes, oh, that's interesting. That's kind of surprising. You don't typically see like Asian people with dogs, especially growing up. And I was like, yeah, this is my first dog. I never had one growing up. And he goes, yeah, most of the time when you do see them with Asian people, it's because they're like eventually in Asia, they may kind of fall on bad times and like eventually they're going to eat them. And I was like, no, like no worries here, but yeah, that won't be the case. I really like my dog and whatever. And he's like, oh yeah, no, as if I was jumping down his back and getting defensive for no reason. He's like, no, it's just, my mom's Korean. She grew up in the war. She grew up and went through like a lot of struggle. She saw someone get shot in the back of the head. And at this point I was like, damn, this guy's already giving me a lot of personal information that I never asked for. So he comes in. The first thing he does is he has me grab my vacuum. And the reason he does this is he proceeds to roast it for the next. Oh, by the way, he ends up being in my house for 3 hours. By the way, there's construction going on near me, but I said 3 hours in case anyone didn't hear that. So he has me grab my vacuum and he has me run it over one spot on my floor a bunch of times. Once with the cord plugged in, another time with the cord unplugged. And then he takes the Kirby and he runs it over the same spot. And by the way, he had me do this 52 times. He had me do like 52 swipes each time.
He asked you for that specific number?
Yes.
That's
so
absurd.
He had me do that. And he like goes, so now that you see me do it with the Kirby, he pulls out the filter and he goes, you see how it picked up all this stuff? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, the reason that it's like that is because whether your vacuum is on or off, it didn't make a difference. Like it's not doing shit.
Sure.
Like,
thank you.
Thanks,
Shaq.
Yeah. I don't need a fucking spick and span place. Like my vacuum was good enough.
Okay, that's what. And
he goes, so it's already going south, and he starts telling me some sob stories, and this is where it gets really ridiculous. The first thing he says is that he used to be a private business owner. He told me that he used to work at a We Fix Wireless, which in New England is a franchise that fixes cell phone screens. And he said that he used to own 2 or 3 stores in the mall. He's like, yeah, man, I used to make 150, 200K a year, like no problem. But, they kind of fucked me over. So after COVID, I was kind of put out of business. And now I'm doing this. I'm selling Kirby's door to door. But my customers say that I'm pretty good. So, it could be worse. I'm like, all right. Okay. And he goes, I also I don't think I told you this the first time that I told you this. He also told me that he lives with his mom and he's 37.
Mm.
And he was telling me like, oh, Tyler will appreciate this. The first thing that he did when he came into my house was take his fucking mask off. Future. Yeah, he took his mask off as if it was like, as if me not wearing a mask because I wasn't expecting a guest was a sign to be like, oh, well, then it's cool for me to take mine off. So yeah, he's like, I live with my mom. I had to move in with her because of the tough situation. And she's always worried about me, telling me that if I go into someone's house, just make sure to keep my mask on and make sure to always clean up after myself because you don't know what's out there. But I'm always like, Mom, I'm 37. You don't need to worry about me. You don't need to ask me where I'm going all the time. I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up and like get to your sales pitch. And still, this whole time, I'm thinking this is going to be like a 20-minute process. What I had signed up for was him to clean my living room. What ended up happening was he busted out the full like Kirby kit. He opened it all up and he just showed me 10 to 12 different attachments of shit that I didn't even know that a vacuum could do. So there's an attachment to dust. There was attachment to like get to corners and like behind your TV. There was something that was meant to specifically clean in your car. It was just a bunch of shit that I would have never thought of. And every time he would basically like show me, but then I don't know, I guess this guy was really fucking hands-on and wanted me to learn. So he'd show me and then he'd be like, now your turn. And then hand me the like accessory and then have me do it. And every time too, in his examples, he'd be like, yeah, so, I'm sure, you got a girlfriend or whatever, when she comes over and sees behind your TV that it's a little dusty, or he'd point to the vent in my wall and be like, if she looks up here and sees that it's dusty when she's cleaning, he'd always make sure like,
yeah,
very sexist. Clearly it was like,
right.
When your bitch comes over and like, like has an issue with how things are looking in your house. So this guy just had no etiquette whatsoever. Eventually, like I had no way of really getting him out of my house that I was comfortable with doing. So I let him stay in there in the living room while I worked in the kitchen. And what would happen is I told my manager too, I was like, I know we have a call later today. If you hear some cleaning going on in the background, that's because I let a Kirby guy into the house.
There's a live vacuum demonstration in my living room. Shouldn't interfere with my outbound call volume today.
Yeah, so I felt really bad, but I kept working, but I was very distracted. And as I told you, every time that I would hang up the call, I would hear him sighing. He'd be like wiping the sweat off his forehead and then sighing audibly. And it wasn't to be like, damn, I'm working hard. It was like, dude, you should see how much shit this vacuum's pulling up right now. Like this is a lot. I haven't seen
what
one
a
like
piece
this
of
before.
equipment. Yeah.
I haven't seen a living room like this before. At one point, he pulled out a piece of paper. It was a white sheet of paper, and it looked like an informational sheet that you'd hand out during like a work meeting. He kept saying like, no pressure. If you don't buy anything from me, then that's fine. At least, I'm hoping to get some referrals out of you, which I gave him a list of 10 made up names and numbers.
Of course.
But this sheet, it just said VIP Kirby Maryland trip, I believe is what it said.
Oh boy. Nice.
And what it was, he goes, again, no pressure, but if you do buy something from me, I'm only a few sales away from winning this trip to Maryland. I've never been there before. I'd love to be able to take my daughter, who's like 8 or 10 years old, something like that. I'd love to be able to take my daughter. So, again, no pressure, but you'd put me pretty close. I'd only be a couple away. I'm like, all right, dude. And again, this is just another similar. This isn't just sales. This guy's a straight up panhandler. Who's in my house.
Of course they are. He's selling door-to-door vacuums in a pandemic. Of course this guy needs to make sales. You can't afford to miss.
Every time that I told him that I had to step away, he would act like he was the one being inconvenienced. He wouldn't like outwardly say it, but you could tell from the look on his face, like, really? You got to go take a call? Like, yes, dude, you're in my fucking house.
This is your home? Ugh. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know how I feel. I'll let you wrap up the story, but you know how I feel about this. Good.
I'm trying to remember. So eventually he would just like grab a sheet of paper. And when we finally get to the numbers portion of it, and this is after me going back and forth from my kitchen to the living room for increments of like 30 minutes at a time. So I was very distracted. He broke down the math and it was like, how do you clean your wood floors? I was like, I don't know, fucking Swiffer. He goes, all right, how much do you have to how often do you have to replace the Swiffer wipes? I'm like, I don't know, dude, twice a year. And he took this example. He did it with how do you clean the floor? How do you detail your car? How often do you have to replace your vacuum, your mattress, your furniture, and the carpeting in my living room floor? And he had this all written out. And when we got to the end of it, the math that he said was that if I didn't get a Kirby, I was about to spend in replacements of all those things about $23,000 over the course of like the next, I don't know, 4 to 5 years. The other thing that he said was to try to get the price down, he gave me a bunch of quote unquote discounts.
There we go.
So
value adding.
So number one was like, all right, you'd be helping me to qualify for this contest. So that's $150 off.
Nice.
How often, when he asked me how often I had to replace the vacuum, I said, I don't know, maybe twice in the next 10 years, which is still very generous. And whenever I'd give my like guess, he'd always give a super liberal guess. He'd be like, more like 4 to 5. And also I'm guessing that's like an average vacuum. So $450. I was like, I don't think so. But like my vacuum's pretty sure it's $150. And he goes, yes, we'll give you $150 for that vacuum.
Resale.
As a trade-in.
Trade-in. Put it on the used lot.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, that I guess like what else am I going to do with it? Sure, but this isn't making it more appetizing. No. He gave me a discount he asked me, how are you going to pay for this? Cash, credit, or check? And I said credit.
Yeah, sure.
And he goes, since you are able to pay using one of those 3 things, the 3 methods
things
most people use, that gave me like a $200 discount too.
I don't see the problem here, but go ahead.
So when the final price, we started at, oh my God, I don't even remember what the numbers were at this point because my brain is so rattled. I want to say that we ended at 1,000 and we started at like 3,000, something like that. It's
$2,000 off the top.
Gave me 2/3 off the price.
Yeah.
I said no. And this is even in spite of the fact, one thing that I forgot and I do have to mention is that at one point he took the vacuum, and because the bottom, like the main part of it is detachable from the handle, he goes, I'm not going to go up to your bedroom, but let's pretend your couch over here is your mattress. Take this sheet of paper, and while I'm vacuuming your quote unquote mattress, read me the first 2 bullet points. It was a sheet that talked about dust mites, and he had me read it to him as if I was a student in his class. So he'd have me read the first 2 bullet points out of like 15, have me pause, and after I'd be like, yes, mites make up 45% of the reason why the average citizen has to replace their mattress. He'd turn to me, he'd be like, stop, and he'd go, yep. like agreeing with the point, like, yeah, the point that you just had me read that I have no basis of knowing if this is fact or not.
My goodness.
When I get to the end of it, he goes, have you ever noticed that when you buy a new mattress, it's pretty light, right? When you bring it into your house, it's pretty easy. I was like, yeah, I guess. Not really. It's still fucking heavy.
It's a mattress. Yeah.
Yeah. And he goes, yeah, well, that's why 10 years later, when you have to move it out, it's much harder, right? I'm like, I don't know, I guess. He goes, yeah, that's because over the course of 10 years or so, when you have to replace a mattress, the dust mites or bed mites that get into your bed will increase the weight of the mattress by like 50% or 50 pounds. It was an absurd number, whatever the hell it was. I later looked it up. There was some fact to it, but because of this guy, fuck that. I don't care about that. So I will never agree to that if anyone says that to me. Yeah. Long story short, he tried to hit me with all the numbers. I kept saying no. I finally did get him out of the house, but at that point, he got there at 2:30. He left at 5:30, which is the end of my work day, and I didn't get shit done.
What
And
an
all that I got
afternoon.
out of it was a clean living room.
And it all could have been resolved with a simple, no thanks, not interested in buying a vacuum right now. But what are you going to do?
Really quick,
Yeah, really
before we
quick.
sign up,
Yeah, go ahead.
is that really what your response would have been? Or at what
Yes.
point would
I
you
would
have
not
said
let
those
a
words?
maskless stranger in my house at 2:30 in the afternoon to sell me a vacuum. I would have said, I'm sorry, I'm not interested in close the door to the home that I own. That's just me. So we'll see what everyone else thinks. But it is interesting to say that Kirby door-to-door vacuum salesmen are very much still alive. Very much still what sounds pushy. But I'd be curious to hear what you guys think.
Resourceful.
How many different opportunities there were for Soapy to just squash this, get this creepo out of his house. And also, would you have bought the vacuum? Sound like a good deal to me by the end of the afternoon, especially when you're going to spend $23,000 in the long run. You could have resolved all those issues for only a new $1,000 vacuum. So anyway, Tyler, thanks for having us on, and curious to hear what you think.
Peace.
Boy, oh boy. Man, we gotta teach Soapy about boundaries, man. Boundaries. Establishing and enforcing boundaries. This is what my therapist tell me, and this is what I'm telling him, man. People just be taking him for all kind of rides. Like, first thing first, don't be knocking on my door in a pandemic, man. Like they said, if it's somebody knocking on your door, you probably know they coming. You expecting a package or a pizza or a package of pizzas or whatever. But don't just be knocking willy-nilly on my door in a pandemic. And you knowing my neighbor's name, that don't really help me now. I don't even know my neighbor's name, right? We get along. You know what I'm saying? We say our hellos and whatnot, but I don't know their name. They could have got Judy's name off the mail. Or Judy could have been like, hey, man, that guy's a slob. Go sell this to him. He'll buy it for sure. He's filthy. His place is filthy. And again, like right now, like he just point to the man, like right now. See, I would think that sound like a robbery. Right? He just point to this man right now because they letting you know he done had enough time to check out, like you alone, you by yourself. Physically, like us two can take you. They done got the word from your barber that, you know what I'm saying, he's an easy lick. So that would have been a no-go, right? And then again, anybody like of your descent, or not of your descent, but especially of your descent, making them type of jokes, like East Asians eating dogs and stuff, and you don't know me like that to be making these kind of jokes. No, sir. No, sir. Again, everybody that wear your uniform, do not play for your team. But I will say, I thought it was going to be like a sales transition. He was like, yeah, now my mom's from over there. She seen a man get shot in the back of the head. And we cleaned it up with this Kirby vacuum cleaner. Like, that would have been a good segue into showing, like, the power of the Kirby vacuum. But they didn't go that way. So, no. And there was a part in there. He said the guy been, down on his luck, been doing this after COVID. I said, after? What you mean after? What did he know that I don't know? And again now, second you reach for your mat, no sir. No sir, you can put that back on and you can also turn back around, but you're not taking the mask off. This man talking about getting to Maryland like he a couple of boxes of do-si-dos away from getting the Girl Scouts trip to Maryland. Like, hey man, respectfully, that's none of my business. You go sell your fucking tag-alongs somewhere else, my guy. Also, I didn't know it was a market for trade-in vacuums. Like, I don't think I want no refurbished vacuum. Like, this used to vacuum dust up from somebody else, but we cleaned it up, and it's like, no, I'll pay a little extra for the new. I don't mind that. I don't want none of that repurposed dust in my domicile. You know what I mean? And they was talking about prices at the end. I thought the whole point of this was you get a free cleaning. Like, what's the? I mean, I get you get the free cleaning. They try to upsell you on the stuff later, but no. Again, establish and enforce. Establish your boundary, enforce your boundary. I wasn't good at enforcing boundaries. I wasn't good at establishing boundaries. Right? Like, I wouldn't establish you can come in my house, but then once they did, I'd be like, nah, man, I got to get the hell up out of here. That's me enforcing the boundary without establishing it. Right? So you got to establish first, then enforce. Or do neither. Is always an option. And at the end, y'all notice that slick sound like a pyramid scheme? Like, so it sounded like a Kirby ass SOP had Dan was like, hey man, listen, $1,000 really not that bad of a deal. Like, I'm starting to think SOP he had to give it in blood. And now he in a pyramid scheme. He done got Dan in. I guess I'm part of it now. And I guess y'all part of it now too. So this is just one big Kirby ad. Like, we all just sell vacuums out this motherfucker now. So thank you to the Kirby vacuum Morse Code boys, Dan and SOP, for this week in SOP not establishing boundaries. Jump back into the questions. Trilly, I see you noticed that once again, Urban Meyer is hiring reputable, upstanding human beings to be a part of his staff at Jacksonville. You know what? I did notice that. I did notice that. If you didn't know, Urban Meyer, new coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, hired Iowa's former strength coach, Chris Doyle. Chris Doyle, I say former, like he didn't resign just to take that Jacksonville job. He resigned under some pressure after some of his former student athletes, student first, athlete second, came out. And these are some of the things they said about him. A student says, I was lifting in the weight room, and one of the lifts we had to do was open and close your hands in a bowl of rice. While walking to the bowl of rice, one of my black teammates and close friends just left the rice station and was at the bench rack. After benching, there was some rice left back on the bar. Coach Doyle then says, what is this shit? Clean it up. The player walks over to clean it up and walks away from Doyle. Doyle then says, why you walking with all that swagger? I'll put you back on the streets. The player comes from a happy home with both parents. That was one incident. A separate incident happened before one of our team lifts. He asked the same player where he was the night before, and the player says, my girl's house. Coach Doyle then pulls his pants halfway down to sag off his butt, turns his hat backwards, and puts one hand on his pants and starts to strut while mocking the player, saying, I was at my girl's house. Another former player said he was confronted about quitting the team by Doyle, who suggested he take up rowing. Oh, wait, black people don't like boats and water, do they? Doyle is alleged to have said. Iowa previously had admonished Doyle over a 100 squat workout in January 2011 that led to 13 players being hospitalized for, y'all bear with me, boy, rhabdomyolysis, which is a breakdown of muscle tissue that can lead to serious complications such as kidney failure. Nevertheless, Iowa head coach at the time, Kirk Ferentz, gave Doyle the Assistant Coach of the Year award at a Booster Club event months later in spring 2011. I'm still going. There's still more stories. Doyle, who had served under Kirk Ferentz as Iowa's strength coach since 1999, was said to have unusual authority for an assistant in his position. He was placed on administrative leave June 6th and signed a separation agreement with the school 8 days later. As part of the agreement, the nation's highest paid strength coach at $800,000 annually would receive 15 months' salary and 15 months of benefit for him and his family, though the latter would end if he found new employment. Now, all that happened, right? The racist stuff, allegedly racist stuff, him having 13 kids hospitalized off one drill, and he got a job 8 months later. He upgraded, right? Like he didn't have to even start being a strength coach for like a Division 6A school. He went to the Jaguars. He went from the Big Ten to the NFL. And they asked Urban Meyer, who hired him, about it. Urban Meyer said, I've known Chris for close to 20 years. Our relationship goes back to my time at Utah. And he was the #1 strength coach, Meyer said. Really, he was doing sports performance before sports performance became a high priority in college sports. So I've known him. I've studied him. We've had a relationship. I've vetted him thoroughly, along with our general manager and owner. I feel great about the hire, about the expertise at that position. So we vetted him thoroughly. Sports performance is going to be a high priority. I wanted to get the best of the best, end quote. And that's kind of the point, right? That's kind of like, this guy, he never threatened to send me, 54-year-old white man, back to the hood, so I don't know what y'all talking about. I wonder why. Right? I wonder why. And as a sidebar, like Urban's thing in college, like he had success, one of the best college coaches of his generation, if not ever. But his thing was like ignoring morals or like chemistry and some of the rosters and coaching staffs. Like, you know about that, I think the '08 Florida team. He had some legit killers on their team. Right? And I think that works in college where one side has all the power. Right? But in the NFL, there's some bad guys everywhere, right? Like what's your advantage? Is Urban Meyer that much of an X's and O's guy that he could pull this off and get away with it? Right? And by get away with it, I mean like getting an NFL job and getting free reign on his staff. I don't know. We'll see. But that is kind of, to get more to the point, like, hey, I've known this guy for 20 years. It's like, hey, I've been friends with a terrible human being for 20 years. He's always been this way. Like, I don't know if that's really coming off the way you intended to, Urban. So again, they knew all this stuff about Chris Doyle. They just didn't care. So Chris Doyle ended up resigning. The Jaguars didn't fire him. They had no problem hiring him. Right? So not to take any flack off Urban Meyer, but the Jaguars were okay with this. Right? Like they were okay with this too. So interested to see how this works out. If he just brings in, I don't know, terrible people, but good coaches in a league full of terrible people and good coaches. We shall see. Next question. Would love to hear your thoughts on Sterling Sharpe's Hall of Fame case in light of the conversation he and his brother had. Sterling Sharpe, brother of Shannon Sharpe, they recently, I guess on one of their podcasts, I'm guessing Shannon, they were talking about if Sterling has a Hall of Fame case. And I absolutely think he does. I thought he did before I, again, did the numbers. Because, again, I'm more of a, like, your prime, right? Like, if your prime is short, but you were so cold during your prime, then I care a lot less than if you, like, played 5 extra washed-up years. Sterling Sharpe only played 7 years. And one of the things Sterling Sharpe said in his argument was that he didn't really play with Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Like, you think of Favre, but he didn't have Favre for longer than he did have Favre. Right? Like, he got there in 88. His quarterbacks in 88. Dan Majkowski and Randy Wright. Exactly. Quarterbacks in 1989. Dan Majkowski. That was the Madge man got full reign that year. It was the only Pro Bowl year of his career. He threw for 4,300 yards and 27 touchdowns and also 20 picks, but we don't like to talk about that. And that year, Sterling Sharpe, his second year, he had 90 catches for 1,400 yards and 12 touchdowns. Like, he was getting busy early. Like, those numbers hold up now. Nonetheless, back when everybody was giving the running back 400 carries and receivers wasn't doing numbers like that. Year 3, 1990. You guessed it, the Madge man, Dan Majkowski and Anthony Dilweg. 91, we saw Mike Tomczak and Don Majkowski. 1992, we saw Don Majkowski. And that was Brett Favre's first year. Brett Favre's first year, Sterling Sharpe won the Triple Crown, receiver Triple Crown. Led the league in catches, yards, and touchdowns. 112 catches, 1,274 yards, 11 touchdowns. And for 93 and 94, he had Favre. So he really had Favre for 3 years. And I think Majkowski might have took some snap, 2.5, 3 years max, right? Like, Sterling Sharpe had 65 touchdowns in 7 years. Like, for reference, Shannon Sharpe, who, again, different position, but played twice as long. Shannon Sharpe had 62 touchdowns in 14 years as a tight end. I picked a random name off the list. Julio Jones. Julio Jones has 60 touchdowns in 10 years. Y'all wonder why he gonna hit them folks at my funeral. That boy gonna be cutting up. Lynn Swann, John Stallworth, played in the 70s with the Steelers. Again, different era. But Lynn Swann, for his career, had 5,462 yards and 51 touchdowns in 9 years. He never caught more than 900 yards in a season. He never caught 900 yards in a season. He's a Hall of Famer. John Stallworth had 63 touchdowns in 14 years. And they played with a Hall of Fame quarterback longer than Sterling Sharpe did. Like, an average Sterling Sharpe year in his 7 seasons was 85 catches, 1,162 yards, and 9 touchdowns. In the 3 years he had with Favre, those jumped to 105 catches, 1,285 yards, and 14 touchdowns. And also, to his credit, he had made 2 Pro Bowls and a first-team All-Pro before Favre even got there, right? So he was doing numbers before Favre got there. His last healthy year in the NFL, 1994, he had 18 touchdowns, led the league. Then he had, I think, a neck injury. They won the Super Bowl 2 years later. He just missed that, right? Like it wasn't no tailing off or nothing. He just had 7 pretty strong years. So I think he should be in the Hall of Fame, right? Like Terrell Davis is there. Terrell Davis had a much better peak, but it was also a 3-year peak. And if that's enough, then I think Sterling Sharpe's peak was enough. I would vote Sterling Sharpe into the Hall of Fame. Next question from TOXO Horny. Says, I'm probably late to make a request for this week. This was last week, but I did want to get to this. I said, but please, for the love of everything, please dissect the Rob O'Neal SKOL chant video. I'm going to play the Rob O'Neal SKOL chant video for anyone who is unfamiliar. I'm going to set the scene for you, okay? It's a Vikings game. Before every Vikings game, they do like a SKOL chant. Every Vikings home game, they do a SKOL chant, have somebody famous or a Vikings fan or whatever come out and lead it, and they sound the Galler horn. It's kind of like their war cry, like they're ready to go to war. So just keep that in mind before you hear what you're about to hear.
To lead the SKOL chant and sound the Yeller horn, please welcome the retired U.S. Navy SEAL who fired the shots that killed Osama bin Laden, Rob O'Neal.
There's a lot to process there, but you definitely heard that intro correctly. So I'll talk you through. I'm going to post the video with this, but I'll talk you through what I can see, but you can't see unless you're familiar with this video. And if you've been in any Twitch stream of mine over the past, I don't know, forever, I play this before every big game. It gets the juices flowing. It sends chills through my body. It's electrifying. But first things first, Rob O'Neal, our protagonist, he's wearing a number 6 jersey. Now, I went and checked. There's no number 6 that year on the Vikings, right? Like, not enough for him to you couldn't just throw on the Adam Thielen jersey, right? Couldn't just throw on the Danielle Hunter. You know what I'm saying? This was December, I think 2017, 2018, a couple years ago. It was the year, whatever year they won like 13 games. It was that year. So it cuts to him. He's got both arms up. He's hype. He's like bring it in. Cheer for Robbie, right? He's bringing it in. He's going crazy. He's hype before they even say who he is because he knows what he's famous for. And he knows as soon as they find out what he's famous for, they going to go crazy. And he's right. As soon as they announce he's the man that fired the shots that killed Osama bin Laden, the crowd went crazy. He was absolutely right. So it's like they give you like the little applause, like he's a retired Navy SEAL. Yeah. That fired the shots that killed. They went crazy. Like, if you ever heard the video or seen the video, Robert F. Kennedy announced that Martin Luther King Jr. had been shot and killed. It's like Martin Luther King Jr. has been shot. and kill. That's when it like really registered. That's how this was, only in reverse. So after that, it cuts to the crowd. 66,000. I checked the attendance for this game. 66,863 people in there, which really make me nauseous now to see that many people that close. But they're all on their feet, right? It cut to the guy. The guy, he beating the hell out of the drum. The boom, boom, SKOL. Doom, doom, SKOL. He's giving it what for, right? So the guy beating the drum, he has on a jersey on the back that says SKOL line, right? He's got number 8. Sam Bradford was number 8 that year, right? So SKOL line guy don't get his own jersey. He wears Bradford's 8, but O'Neal gets his own jersey. I'm almost willing to bet he demanded his own jersey, but I can't prove that. So, again, something we talked about in the Twitch chat, but I can't prove it. SKOL, it don't sound racist. Like, I don't think it's racist, but it's probably racist. You know what I mean? Like, you ever just get that feel about stuff? It's like, I can't prove that there's anything racist about this, but it's probably racist. All right, so I looked it up. The SKOL chant was introduced as part of the fans' tradition when the Vikings moved to US Bank Stadium. Inspired by the Iceland national soccer team, Vikings fans now raise their hands and clap twice to the beat of a drum before yelling SKOL. To that I say, all right, nigga, I'm still, the jury's out. Right, the jury's out. So in this video, it also cuts to the Vikings mascot doing the overhead clap too with the fans, and he's in full Vikings uniform, which always just cracks me up for some reason. And the guy he lays into the yaller horn and just blows whatever coronavirus he got all over a crowd, 66,000 people. They're going crazy. And so it made me think, like, did they put a new tip on the yaller horn like hookah? Like, everybody bring their own tip and you just keep it in your pocket till it's your turn. You bust it out and you can get on the yaller horn. And also, there are other like suggested videos. There's been more troops there. They in their fatigues. Rob O'Neal's in the custom jersey. So I said, I know Robert O'Neal's still like a figure out here. I said, let me see what the hell Robert O'Neal is tweeting about. Surely it's about raising minimum wage and Black Lives Mattering and welcoming Kamala Harris as our first female vice president. Surely, right? I was wrong. Okay, I was wrong. These are his, at the time I checked, these were his previous 3 tweets. Tweet number 1, quote, I'm not a lawyer. I didn't graduate college with a phony degree. I'm not in debt. I've been to over 60 countries. I've read the Constitution many times. Woke is the virus. Wake the fuck up. End quote. I didn't make any of that up. That was like literally the first tweet I seen when I went to his page. I was like, this is exactly what I'm here for. His second tweet was him retweeting somebody he wrote a book. Somebody bought his book. He autographed it. And the name of the book is called The Operator: Firing the Shots That Killed Osama bin Laden in My Years as a Navy SEAL Team Warrior. 1, how bad you think this book is? I kind of want to read it. I know it's awful. 2, how often you think he bring that up? I feel like Jerry Rice, right? Like Jerry Rice just walk in and like, oh, I heard Jerry Rice is here. I don't know who said that. I feel like Robert O'Neal just walked into a place and like, I'm looking for the guy that fired the shots that killed Osama bin Laden. And he looks around and nobody says anything. And he's like, oh, wait, that was me. I fired the shots that killed Osama bin Laden. It was me. It was me all along. So I looked up this shit book. And it said, I found this. It said, in an anonymous February 2013 interview, O'Neal told Esquire that he had killed Osama bin Laden during Operation Neptune Spear. In late 2014, in the run-up to credited Fox News and Washington Post stories on the same topic, O'Neal's name was leaked by other former Special Forces personnel who were protesting his violation of a code of silence that forbids them from publicly taking credit for their actions. O'Neal claimed that he and another unnamed member of SEAL Team 6 cornered bin Laden, and that after the other SEAL fired and missed, O'Neal killed the terrorist with shots to the head. In contrast, fellow SEAL Matt Bissonette claims in No Easy Day that the unnamed sailor actually fired the killing shots. Of course, that's how Robert O'Neill tells. We busted it in, and he fired 2 shots. He missed. He was a shit shot. But me, I hit that motherfucker right between his eyes, and I said, USA is what I said. That's what I said. I found another quote about it. It said, as of August 2020, the federal government of the United States has neither confirmed nor denied O'Neill's claims. The Rear Admiral Brian L. Losey and Force Master Chief Michael Magarachi, they got some names on them, boy, did encourage all SEALs to abide by their code of silence, saying that Naval Special Warfare's core is the SEAL ethos. A critical tenet of our ethos is, I do not advertise the nature of my work, nor seek recognition for my actions. Our ethos is a lifelong commitment and obligation, both in and out of the service. Violators of our ethos are neither teammates in good standings, nor teammates who represent Naval Special Warfare. Because I was thinking about that, right? Like famous people have been killed before by troops, right? I don't know the names of them guys. You know what I'm saying? That's the man that kicked over the bucket that Saddam Hussein was standing on and hung him dead. Johnny Gallerhorn, or whatever his name is. You know what I mean? So, the next tweet. back to his timeline. Somebody replied, said, what makes a degree phony in your mind? This was his reply. My beloved Uncle Brian O'Neill made the dean's list with straight A's from the University of Montana in, quote, the history of rock and roll. That is a waste of time, end quote. That's what makes a degree phony. So those were his previous 3 tweets. No, wait. One more. It was too good not to put in. Quote, the good news is now that the impeachment is over, again, the Democrats can go back to hating law enforcement. End quote. I just couldn't get enough of Robbie O'Neill, so I checked his Wikipedia. It said on August 20th, 2020, amid the COVID-19 pandemic, O'Neill tweeted a selfie of himself seated aboard a Delta Airlines plane without a face mask. It was captioned, quote, I'm not a pussy, end quote. It was followed by another that said, thank God it wasn't at Delta flying us in when we killed bin Laden. We weren't wearing masks. He later tweeted that he was banned by Delta. So that, I can't believe this guy's an anti-mask guy, man. I know, I'm sure he believes in vaccines, man. I'm sure he's just it's all just a friend. He's really probably a swell guy. Just kidding, he's probably terrible. Moving on. Baby boy of the week alert. Baby boy of the week alert. Goes to Devin Booker, man. He got Western Conference Player of the Week with 32 points, 5 boards, 5 assists on 56, 48, 81 shooting. They went 4-0, beat the Cavs, Bucks, Sixers, and Magic. And the thing I think is so interesting, I think it's either starting to change or it may have changed now. The Suns have a positive net rating with Devin Booker on the floor, but no Chris Paul. The Suns have a positive net rating with Chris Paul on the floor, but no Devin Booker. And I think literally this week in this 4-0 stretch, they just broke even with minutes of Paul and Booker on the floor. Like before that, they were negative with them both on the floor, which feels like a good sign, right? For a team that was a 4 seed and won like 9 of their last 10. I think they lost the other day, but still on a pretty good streak. Like they're 10th in offensive rating, 6th in defensive rating, 29th in pace. And the thing I think is interesting is that they don't really shoot that many threes, and they don't really make any more than they did last year. They were 16th in threes made percentage-wise last year. They're 15th this year. And I think that's interesting because I talked about, I think last week, the Mavs and Heat, like teams that are built on a lot of threes, it's a lot more variance when you're missing those threes. The Suns are just like, hey, we just won't really take that many. However, they are first in shots taken from 10 to 16 feet and 6th in shots taken from 16 to 3-point range, like mid-range, which feels very Chris Paul and Devin Booker-y. But it's working, right? Again, they 4 seed. They're looking at home court as of right now. And Devin Booker, big week for him. Player of the week and baby boy of the week. Congratulations, Devin. Getting back to the questions. Do you agree that the LeBron MVP lead was decided the day Giannis won last year? No matter what another player accomplished this year, LeBron was always getting it. And to me, that's weird. I don't agree with that. I will say this. I do think that after the way last season ended for him, I don't think there was anything Giannis could do to win it again. Like, he could be at 40 points, 20 boards a game right now, and the Bucks could be undefeated, and I don't think he'd win it just because of the way that ended. But I will say, with that, I think LeBron stepped into the favorite role. I know ESPN did a straw poll as of February 10th. I don't know when the votes were cast. And their straw poll was LeBron 1, Embiid 2, Jokic 3, Durant 4, Kawhi 5. It's interesting. And I'll give my 5 for fair reference. My 5, as of right now, I got it Embiid 1, Jokic 2, LeBron 3, Steph 4, Dame Lillard 5. All right. Because as of, I think the time these were cast, Embiid was playing for a 1 seed to LeBron's 2 seed. He had a higher PER, higher true shooting, more win shares, higher offensive box plus minus, higher defensive box plus minus, higher usage rate, and a lower turnover rate. Like, he got the conventional numbers, the advanced numbers. He's a better defender, and he's also doing it for a 1 seed. So that's why he's my 1. Now, it's all very close, but having LeBron number 1, and I'll say this, he probably will win. Like, especially now, AD's out a couple weeks. If they go on that little run, he keeps him 1 or 2 seed, he probably will win. But as of right now, I got Embiid number 1. Right? Like, AD being out, I won't say it's at the right time, but it'll be a chance for him to either make up some ground in my book, the only book that matters, or solidify what the voters already feel, that he's number 1. And this is me fully admitting that LeBron's a better player. Like, I don't think that's an argument. But we're talking about the most valuable player of this year, 2020, 2021. I would have to go Embiid right now. And I was kind of surprised that they didn't have Steph higher, or Dame, really. Right? Like, in terms of, like, it's always a question, what is, like, most valuable? Is it the best players, the best player on the best team? What is it? And I generally try to look at it like, if they take this guy off of the team, how would this team fare? Right? You look at Steph playing with Juan Toscano Anderson at center. The second best player on Steph's team averaged 6 points a game and shoot like 34% from the field. And they in the playoff race. They still making it work. You take him off that team and they look like they did last year. Horrible. You look at Dame. Dame right now is missing Nurkic, Collins, and CJ McCollum. 3 starters. And Robert Covington is not playing well right now. Right? And they're still in the mix. You take him off that team, they're dead in the water. Like, their offense stinks, I get that. But without him, that defense would, or excuse me, defense stinks. You take Dame off the team, and their offense goes in the tank too. I just saw this tweet about Dame in the clutch. And clutch is defined as 5-point games in the last 5 minutes. This season, he's first in points, 82. First in field goal percentage, 63%. First in three-point percentage, 59%. 100% free throw. Hasn't missed a single free throw. And they're 12-3 in the clutch. Like, again, if you're talking about, like, valuable, and again, he's not the best. He's not even the best point guard, right? Steph's the best point guard. But you're talking about, like, value. I don't know how you don't have him up there over, some of the other guys there. Jokic statistically having the best year, right? Like, the Nuggets have the 4th best net rating in the conference, but, like, the 7th best record. I think that'll kind of settle out. So I think Jokic's, his case will climb, even though, like, from 3 seed to 6 seed, it'll end up being 3 or 4 games. That'll end up mattering. So I do think they'll climb. His case will get a little bit stronger. The Embiid and LeBron cases, those are, like, pretty obvious. But it was just weird narrative-wise. Like, to the person who asked the question, there was definitely something to it, right? Like, we all heard this year 17 and Kobe died and all this stuff. And he was finals MVP, best player on the best team. For my money, still the best player in the league. But if we're talking about, like, the MVP of this year, it's just kind of funny to me, like LeBron's case as being like the greatest of all time is because of like overwhelming numbers, right? He's going to retire with 40K, 10K rebounds, 10K points, however many rings. But this year, he doesn't have any of the overwhelming numbers. And he's still leading the MVP straw poll. I know those are two different things, but that was just kind of funny to me. And also, like if you want LeBron to get this, it's kind of a like lifetime achievement. You know what I'm saying? Saying that he should have more, which I do agree with that. But by doing that, like you just keep kicking this can down the road. Like at some point, you're going to have to decide like, hey, if he deserves it for this season, he deserves it for this season. But I don't want to hear shit about year 48, how many kids he got, or what famous Laker died, right? Like just do it for what's on the court. He's still balling. Make your case off that. So I think there's definitely something to that. I don't agree with the question per se. But as of right now, if I had to like bet money who I think will win, I think LeBron will win. Next question comes from Swig. Swig says, Trill, my Cavs are looking to deal Andre Drummond. What are the most realistic trade options that could fit with Sexland and building for the future? Swigs, I don't know, buddy. I think the Celtics make a lot of sense, but I think the trade exception is like a little bit too short. Like they can't just fit Drummond into the trade exception. Charlotte's interesting. Like I think Drummond's probably got more upside than Cody Zeller, like on a good night. But I do think there's a fair argument that he's not that much of an upgrade. Mavericks, maybe. I know the Mavericks aren't a very good rebounding team. I don't like it too much, but like he'd be a good lob threat for Luka. You could keep some shooting around him. They've got cap space to re-sign him. You might could get like a Dwight Powell, his salary, James Johnson expiring, and Tyrell Terry, who I like coming into the draft. You might could get him to the Kings. Wizards, I don't know. It's just not a lot of options, Bob. It's just that point of trying to match. I think Drummond makes like $29 million this year, and trying to match that and a salary, and also decide like, is this a rental? Do we want to keep him long term? What's he going to want next year? I do think they can get something. I don't think they'll end up buying him out, but I don't know. You might just have to settle for like what you gave up for him, which I think was like salary and a second round pick, which you basically break even, and you already got your center of the future with Jared Allen. You got your backcourt, so that's a minor victory. That's a minor victory. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Next question. Is Odell Beckham Jr. spending too much time with Baker and drifting into the chip on my shoulder guy territory, or is this just standard wide receiver activity, like Jerry Rice reminding everyone he is in fact Jerry Rice? And this was Odell Beckham's timeline. It says, as quick as we all forgot is as quick as I'll remind you. Godspeed. And it's a picture of players with at least 6,800 receiving yards and 50 receiving touchdowns in their first 80 career games. Odell Beckham Jr. That's the end of the list. Next tweet. I'm more motivated than I've ever been. Next tweet. Just when I touch a field again, I don't give a F if the second act is tragic on everything I love. I think this is kind of par for the course, right? Like for wide receivers and for Odell, he kind of been on this kind of time. You know what I'm saying? But I do kind of see where he's coming from. It's got to be frustrating to hear like that a team that has had no success in forever is better without you after they made the playoffs and won a playoff game. And it's just injuries, man. I really wish he gets and stays healthy, because he's still like fastest to 100, 150, 200, and 250 receptions. Fastest to 3 and 4,000 receiving yards. Only player in the NFL history to have 1,300 yards in 12 or less games. And he did that with Eli Manning, right? But he had 1,000 yards just last year in New York. That was in 13 games. He had 1,000 yards last year with Bad Baker and Freddie Kitchens. But if he start posting that LLC shit, that's when I get worried. Once he start posting that Wolf on Wall Street garbage, that's when I get a little bit concerned. That's when I might have to put him on the trade block. Next question comes from Jeannie, a minority AMC owner. Quiet as it's kept. He says, you're in a 2-on-2 fight, and the other 3 participants are 11-year-old Mike Tyson, a dog that's used steroids its whole life, and a medium-sized honey badger. Who do you pick as your teammate? Now, I admit I had to look up the size of a medium-sized honey badger, as I am unaware of their medium, small, or large sizes. And it was about 2.5 feet, 35 pounds. So give me the honey badger as a teammate, right? Now, they be fighting lions and hyenas and shit. So, like, having a honey badger fighting a 11-year-old Mike Tyson, that ain't no problem. He take Mike Tyson, I'll take the dog. Because it don't say what kind of dog, right? Like, I don't care if it's a Chihuahua that's been using steroids. I'm punting him, dog. He getting punted 64 yards. I pin his ass inside the 5. Like, that ain't no problem. So give me and a moderate-sized honey badger against the world. I like our odds. Next question comes from Basque. Not even a question. Bash just says, please speak on Malik Beasley's most improved bid. He's up there, man. He's had a really good year, and it hasn't mattered because the Timberwolves stink. But he was at like 8 points, 2 boards, 2 assists last year in Denver. Got traded to Minnesota and basically did what he's doing this year. He did that last year in Minnesota, like about 21 points a game, 5 boards, 2 or 3 assists. He shot 40% from 3 last year in Minnesota, doing it again this year. He's not much on defense, but nobody on that team really is. So he's shown he can sustain that. He'll definitely be in the mix. I think Jeremy Grant's probably the leader for most improved, though. Like, if he stays around, 24, 25 points a game, he's at 44, 38, 88 shooting. I think he's got to be the leader. But you got, like, Christian Wood will be in the mix. Chris Boucher be in the mix. He might get some 6th man of the year and most improved talk. Like, Jaylen Brown, Julius Randle, of course. Probably gets my vote, but I do think Jeremy Grant will win it. I think Andrew Wiggins and Darius Garland deserve some credit. Like, they went from being awful to playable. Like, that's a pretty big leap. Like, it used to be horrible. And now it's like, hey, these guys not bad. And on some nights, they're good. So I think they're all in the mix, but yeah, Malik definitely has a case to be in there. Next question comes from Base Carson himself. Carson says, when I inevitably quit the Wizards, do I commit to watching a good team or just watch any game, which would lead to watching less basketball in general? That's the only thing I'm hesitant about. And I say, would it though? Like, why would they have to lead to you watching less basketball? You'd be free to watch any game you want. And the primetime game, the one on TV, is usually at least one interesting team, right? Like, the Wizards game doesn't guarantee any interesting teams. You might get 2 stinkers. So I don't know if it necessarily guarantees that. 2, I'll say, like, I know Carson's a Virginia fan. You got a couple baby boys. Just start watching them. Brogdon's doing well. Close personal friend Joe Harris is doing well. DeAndre Hunter, Ty Jerome, and Kyle Guy, who I think are 2 different people. So you got enough. You know what I'm saying? You got enough skin in the game to not watch the Wizards, but still checking on your baby boys. Because it feels like jumping off the Wizards, like to go right to another team. That's getting out of a bad relationship and just getting into another one just to be in a relationship, right? Just take it easy. Like, there's no rush. You're in charge here, man. You can get on and off the boat whenever you want. And I'll tell you this, even if you only watching primetime games, those primetime games are going to be good more often than the, like, one game a month where it's like, uh-oh, Russ is hitting shots. Watch out. So I say, free yourself, King. You don't have to do this. You don't have to keep watching that terrible ball. You don't have to commit to anything else. You don't have to do a damn thing you don't want to. Free yourself. Next question. We're about to wrap this up. You guys got my word. We're almost out of here. Jim 9,000 Damn the Whites says, what is the best, as in I'm happy to have this Discord, and worst, as in I need to delete this monstrosity as soon as possible, thing you have walked into the court doing or talking about? And the worst is definitely when early on it got hacked. Or I guess not even hacked, I should say, but like the link, like I just had a public link. I just did not understand how Discord worked, right? Like I think I understand like 44% of it now. I didn't understand none of it then, right? So the link got made public. Some dickheads came in and were spamming shit. And just seeing how, I can't even remember if I had mods at the time, but seeing how hard people were fighting, like fighting against them. I must have, yeah, because they were deleting messages and stuff. But seeing how hard they fought with no real reason to do so, right, made me realize, okay, like this is something worth fighting for, right? And if it's worth fighting for, then it's worth trying to do it right. You know what I'm saying? From getting an administrator, getting more mods in, like paying for different bots to make things easier, more entertaining, or trying to learn how to do certain things myself, just in case I need to press that button. Because I found it. I've found the button. I haven't pushed it yet, but I know where it is. And I say probably the best thing I've seen is probably just the live chat in general, right? I've seen people in there that in any other channel, they tell each other, you know, go fuck yourself and go die somewhere. But you go in the live chat, people talking life and love and depression and like mourning, like grief, all that. And it's just seeing people be there for each other and be there with each other. So that's probably been the best thing. But I still might press the button. I still very well may press that button. Next question comes from Jonah, the Bad Bunny stan account himself. He said, here's the deal. There's a duffel bag in front of you with $1 million. If you leave it, that's all there is to it. If you take it, there's a snail that will hunt you for the rest of your life. And if it touches you, it kills you. It always knows where you were 10 minutes ago. And if you manage to kill it without touching it, you have to give half the money back. Do you take the bag? And to Jonah, I say, in a heartbeat, I take that bag. One, that's the quickest $500,000 I ever made, right? I take the money. I wait 10 minutes and I hit his ass with a bucket full of Morton salt. I'm pouring Morton salt all over him. That's easy money. Or I take the full $1 million. He find me and kill me. I die a millionaire and also I'm dead. That's a win-win. You know what I'm saying? But if I kill it like while touching it, do I get double the money? Like what's the rule on that? Because if so, I'm throwing his ass into traffic, right? And I'll throw him a nice funeral with my $1 million, but he definitely getting yeeted up out of here. But in a heartbeat, please give me that $500,000. Next question. 2 questions. Comes from Kyle Dub, the Dogecoin owner himself. Says 2 questions. Who do you got in this year's Formula One Constructors and Drivers Championship? And 2, when will you make the long-awaited guest appearance on the shutdown fullcast that dozens of us have been begging for? I don't know what a single word neither one of these questions mean. But thank you for the questions, Kyle. Next question. Firstly, I hope you're having fun. Secondly, it's about halfway through the NBA season. Who are your biggest frauds and sleepers? Any teams that are major surprises, good or bad? Teams that can be dangerous if they get hot. First, go fuck yourself. No, I'm not having fun. I know what I said at the beginning of the show, but in full transparency, as I try to be, I just found out that the last woman that I had, like somewhat like dating, like gonna be more than dating vibes with, got engaged. That's happened to me. The last two women I've been somewhat serious with have gotten engaged within 1 year of cutting it off with old Trilly. So I'm feeling very unwanted right now, right? So we're not going to go too much longer because I'm about to go eat and drink myself to excess, right? And I understand like it's people freeze and people don't have powers, pandemics and all that. I get all that. But right now the boy's feeling very fucking unwanted. So no, I'm not having fun. I might even go back, change the intro for how little fun I'm having. Second, sleepers and frauds. I don't trust the Jazz, man. I just don't trust them. Right? Like Bogdanovich, he's shooting about what he does career-wise. But Conley, Joe Ingles, Donovan Mitchell, Jordan Clarkson, Royce O'Neal are all shooting like multiple points above their career three-point average. Right? And in the playoffs, teams will adjust and, have time to practice. They'll look at your habits and all that. And you won't really have to take away everybody, right? They don't want 5 out. They got Gobert in there. Gobert's one non-shooter. So if you get Clarkson or O'Neal, like just one of these guys to get back to average, you got two non-shooters or two guys you don't have to worry as much about. And it's easy to cover their other shooters. So I don't trust the Jazz. I think they're they're a good team. I just don't if they made it to the conference finals, I would be surprised. If they won 2 rounds, I would be surprised. And even then, if they made it to the conference finals, I couldn't see them getting past the Lakers, who I think will be there. I heard the other day, Brian Windhorst was talking about title teams, right? Usually title teams as of late have had a top 10 defense, but as of lately, nobody's really playing defense. And to me, that feels like this is just a bad regular season to go by, right? You got COVID, the missed games, the baseball style series, no practices, they're not even doing shoot-arounds, right? So I do think defenses will step up in the playoffs. Guys will try harder, as they always have. The Nuggets last year, I think, were league average or maybe a little bit worse than league average, and they defended when they needed to. They did what they had to do when the money was on the line. And also, right now, the Jazz and the 76ers, both the 1 seeds in each conference, and the Lakers are all top 7 defenses, right? Bucks, Celtics, Heat, Clippers are all above average. So I don't think it's this big, offensive explosion, right? Everybody's hitting threes, but I get it. Nobody's practicing. And if they're playing, you don't even know who's playing night to night because somebody might be out for, health and safety protocol. And I feel like you're basically, with this question, you're basically just asking, can the Nets do it? Can the Nets play enough defense? Because the offense will be great. And I think I think it'll be acceptable in the playoffs. But only if they don't keep playing everybody 45 minutes a game. They just picked up Andre Roberson. I hope he can help. I legit hope he can get back. He had a really tough injury. It's been 2-3 years. So I hope he can get back and be a decent piece for them. But I just don't know if this is the year to make that proclamation about, right? I feel like I trust the bubble numbers more than I trust this year's numbers. At least in the bubble, everybody's travel and everybody's rest was equal. Now some teams are getting a couple extra days off. The other team cancel a game, you might get 2, 3, 4 days off. De'Aaron Fox said that the key to the Kings getting back on track. The Grizzlies canceled a couple games for COVID, and they had 2-3 days of practice. They were stuck in Memphis, had a couple days of practice. They won 6 or 7 directly after that. Right now, they're back to stinking, but I don't think that'll be the same for playoff teams. This is the worst defense of all time, or it was at least. When you get to playoff teams that know who they're playing, especially if you get back into the bubble, I think we'll see a higher level play. I don't think we'll see everybody hitting 40%, and I think we'll see some of those defenses outside of the top 10 defend closer to what they normally defend at. Surprises this year, I got a good one and a bad one. My good surprise is Charlotte. Charlotte's entertaining, man. LaMelo's a star. Also, his name is LaMelo. It's not Melo. That's Carmelo Anthony. I'm glad this is a good talk. But Hayward looking pretty good, man. He looks like the guy Boston thought they signed. I don't think Terry's missed a 3 all year. Miles Bridges is playing really well off the bench. He's hitting threes, dunking on people. Malik Monk is hitting, I think he's still hitting 50% of his threes. I feel like they're solid enough on offense or defense. And they're entertaining to watch. When LaMelo get to going, throwing some crazy passes. He kick one out to Terry. Terry shoot one from 47 feet. Swish it. They're entertaining. Bad surprise. Close your ears, Bask. It's the Timberwolves, man. It's the Timberwolves. I didn't think they'd be this bad, right? Cat's normally an Iron Man, and this has just been the year from hell for him on and off the court. He and D'Angelo still haven't played that much together. Rubio don't look like the Rubio they traded for. Jarrett Culver hadn't taken much of a step on offense. I expect them to be bad on defense, but they're 27th on offense. That's where I'm a little surprised. So something ain't shaking right there, but at least they're bad enough they might get to keep their pick, right? I think they got the worst record in the league. That pick is top 3 protected. So maybe they'll get to keep their pick, and then Golden State will get the one the following year. But I've been surprised they've been this bad. A couple teams that if they get hot, a couple things I mentioned earlier, actually, like Miami and Dallas. Again, they both took a lot of threes last year and both hit a lot. And they're still taking a lot this year, not making as many, right? But we're only like a third of the way through the season. They're getting healthy, particularly Miami. So if they like get back to normal, start hitting more threes than they have been, I could see both those teams like shooting up, like not shooting like 1 seed or anything, but winning some games, getting solidified in the playoff race. And team I'm watching for, like if they get hot, hot, I'm leaning real close to the mic here. The New York Knickerbockers, baby. The New York Knickerbockers. They got rim protection at all times with Mitchell Robinson and Nerlens Noel. Between like Reggie Bullock, Alec Burks, Austin Rivers, Quickly, they can put multiple shooters on the court at all times. With Quickly, Barrett, Derrick Rose, and Randall, they got multiple ball handlers, creators at all times. They're third in defense, which kind of surprised by their for their personnel they have, but kind of not surprised because Tibbs. But they're 27th in offense, right? They're average 3-point shooting team. So if they can like get a couple more threes and average to fall, like say they get into the bubble, if they do a playoff bubble, say they get comfortable at home or comfortable at Disney World or wherever, start hitting a few more threes and average and still locking up. Some have put a little money on Julius Randle for Finals MVP. Peculiar, but hey, that's what some are doing. Next question. And we've portion of the show where Celtics fans are losing their mind. Abuz, the number one Isaiah Joe stan, says, how concerned would you be if you were the Celtics and Brad continues to play 2 non-shooting bigs with no bigs good enough to do that? And I say, hey, Abuz, that's not fair. That's just not fair. Daniel Tice is basically Bam Adebayo. Y'all remember that? Grant Williams is hitting his threes. And Tristan Thompson was hitting his threes last year. Right? That's got to count for something. And Robert Williams, well, I'm sure he's probably passed the ball to somebody to hit a 3 before, like in his life. So I don't think that's a fair criticism of Brad Stevens. But it's kind of why, like, I've never really bought into center by committee. It's like, yeah, why pay for a center? You can get 4 guys making minimum wage. And it's like, yeah, it's a reason you got those guys making minimum wage. And it's all good until you run into a Bam or the real Bam Adebayo or Mo Wagner. I see him giving them some fits the other day. They lost to the Hawks last night. The boy JC closed them down. So you get like a real big that can give you some trouble, and that center by committee ain't quite cutting it. So I still don't know why did they not want Miles Turner. Like, he's averaging more blocks this year than literally all their centers put together. Right? And he can miss some of them same threes Grant Williams was missing last year. Like, I feel like Tice and Grant Williams, they're hitting threes, but they're like being left wide open. And are they going to make enough at like high volume in the playoffs? Like, you'll give them 2, they'll take 2-3 a game. They can hit all those or whatever. They're not going to change the way they defend. But if they start taking more like at high volume, are they going to do that? Are they going to hit them? Because if I'm the other team, any shot that like Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown don't take, that's a win for us. Right? And we'll play like over a 7-game series. We'll play the odds on that. And it feels like the more, like they got 19 big guys, and the more bigs, it feels like it pushes Jalen and Jason kind of down the position spectrum, right? Like, I feel like those guys are your modern 3 and 4 in today's NBA, Jeff Van Gundy, and they're playing like 2 and 3 because you got to get Grant Williams some minutes, pay Tristan Thompson, got to get him some burn. So Marcus Smart coming back, that'll help. But I feel like I'm seeing Kemba play like 1 good game, 1 bad game, and missing the game after that. And just in a cycle, right? So that feels troublesome. But nevertheless, I'm sure Brad Stevens will figure it out. Speaking of Brad Stevens, y'all remember this, man? Y'all remember when Nate Silver asked this dumb shit? April 30th, 2018, Nate Silver tweeted, if you were starting an NBA team and wanted to maximize your chance of winning a championship over the next 5 seasons, who would you rather have? The choices were Giannis Antetokounmpo and Brad Stevens. There were over 30,000 votes here. Giannis got 54%, Brad Stevens got 42%. 6%. I can't believe it, dog. This is right before Giannis went on a run of back-to-back MVPs and won a Defensive Player of the Year. And Brad Stevens, he lost a couple more times in the conference finals. That's pretty cool. So the thing I always think about anytime that makes its rounds on the timeline, I just think about, like, how far down the list of players would you have to get before you pick Stevens? Right? Like, I was looking, the Washington Post put a list of the top 100 players in the league this year, going into this season. Like, Tobias Harris was 54. I'd take Tobias Harris before Brad Stevens. Marcus Smart was 56. Zach LaVine was 62. John Collins, 66. Mike Conley, 84. Miles Turner, 90. Right? Like, how far do you have to go? Because I take all those guys before Stevens. It said if the goal is to win a championship in the next 5 years. Because it says you're starting a team with them. But it don't say they have to be your best or your highest paid player. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you take Turner. Just tell him he's your defensive player of the year, can hit a 3 or 2, and you build around him. Maybe you take LaVine. Just have him be your lead scorer. Have somebody else facilitate the offense, right? Like, how many players you got to get to, like Rudy Gay? Like Georges Niang is like, maybe I'll take Stevens before Georges Niang. I just wonder how far down you have to go and why he hasn't deleted that terrible tweet. Another Celtics-related question says, how many conference championships will the Celtics lose before they kick Danny Ainge and or Brad Stevens to the curb? I think Ainge is golden forever. Like, he's not leaving until he steps down. And I think Stevens kind of is too, in a sense. Like, he won't get fired. It'll be one of those, he'll take the college job back closer to home and be with the family, or have like the fake Urban Meyer heart attack, you know what I'm saying, and take a year off right before he takes over Duke when Coach K retires. So I hate to say it, but probably a lot. They'll probably lose a lot more conference championships, man. Phew. It's a tough scene, but I'm saying, like, Zone was fucking up Brad Stevens last year, and just last night the Hawks, like, just switching. They have Tatum guarding Trae Young, one single switch. Trae would dribble to the right, and they was just baffled, dude. All out of ideas. So probably a couple more conference championships. Next question comes from Crawford. Crawford says, why do you think there have been no major artist releases this year so far? Is everyone waiting on Future so their tape doesn't get forgotten about whenever he drops on back-to-back weeks? Also, with the recent controversy surrounding Cardi B stealing What's-His-Face's hook for the song Up, does anyone really care if you bite a song as long as you make it better? Travis Scott's been on that wave for a minute. The first question, I'd like to hope it's for that reason, right? I'd like to hope it's because everybody knows that Future's going to come out with 2 back-to-back tapes that just wash anything they've ever put out in their life. Or I also hope that it's that people, like, want to make music together in real life, and that everyone's taking this pandemic very seriously, right? Like, they're not in big groups. They're not going out in public. They're not throwing shows that are packed shoulder to shoulder. Yeah, that's what it is. But I know, like, a lot of artists, they say, you know, the mood they're in and where they're at in life shows in their music. And I can't imagine making music like in this. I'm just gesturing vaguely at everything that's going on right now. I can't imagine making any kind of content in this bullshit. Hey, but still we rise. You know what I mean? And for the Cardi B thing, I mean, that's age old, man. Good artists borrow, great ones steal. Nothing new to that. But in this case, I think I kind of believe Cardi, man. Like the phrase, you know, if it's up, then it's stuck. There was a group saying, like, they had a song saying that Cardi stole that. Like, that's just a phrase that's just been around before that song. And I saw they were going back and forth on Twitter. There's a video they released in September, but she showed that she teased the clip in August. Then they showed that they had teased that same clip like the day before or earlier in August. And again, legitimately, it's like, respectfully, are y'all big enough for her to see that? Now, that's not to say somebody on her team or, you know what I'm saying, didn't see that. But, like, I don't know if Cardi B is just on SoundCloud, just looking for the next wave to steal. You know what I mean? Like, I remember a few years ago, I did a 2 Chainz appreciation post. And I got accused of stealing it from somebody, like, I'd never heard of him. I don't think I never interacted with him. And I was like, 2 Chainz is 40 years old. He's been around for 20 years. And it's like, hey, man, you stole it. And it's like, all right. Is everything not stolen, right? And for the most part, I don't even think of stuff as being stolen, right? Because none of this shit, nobody original now anyway. But Travis Scott's a damn thief. I don't think those allegations been around forever. That's just how the game go. By the game, I mean white people. You know what I mean? Like, you think the Colonel invented that blend of herbs and spices? You know what I'm saying? You think 11 herbs and spices? You think a white man with a little bitty mustache and a bolo tie from Kentucky? All right. Like, if you know about Uncle Nearest. Uncle Nearest was an enslaved person that taught Jack Daniels all he knew, right? And I guess the counter to that is, like, after slavery ended, Jack Daniels hired him and, you know, some of his family members to help him make Jack Daniels. And to that I say, what do you think Uncle Nearest's options was in the 1860s in Tennessee, right? If he was like, no, white man, you stole my recipe, I want it back. How you think that would have played out? You know what I'm saying? So, again, stealing, that's just the name of the game. I don't know how Travis Scott's gotten away with it. I think you just kind of steal it and then eventually throw somebody a writing credit, maybe a couple bucks, and it's just word. Like, if you're playing legal fees, you're not going to hire better lawyers than Travis Scott. Even so, he can stretch it out years and years and years because he don't need it. So it's probably just better just take your little writing credit and go on. It stinks, but so does the world we live in. You know what I mean? I will say it kind of bothers me when TikTokers, the famous TikTokers that we know you ain't invent nothing, right? And they doing dances at the All-Star game. It's like, we know who started that dance, right? It only take backlash for them to invite like the originators. And I think like last year, the little girl from Atlanta, Jalaya, created like the Renegade dance. And I think Fortnite like gave her props. I hope she, got a little bread for it. But it's like, it's so easy to give props now. All this shit has a date on it. It's so easy to give props now. And they still had a bunch of white girls doing the same Renegade dance before a little backlash came. And then they had Jalea come out there. So it just feels too easy to give props now. Like when you see a tweet now and the name's cropped out, it's literally more work to crop the name out, right? Or steal the tweet than it is to just retweet. But again, that's just the filthy world we live in, Crawford. I can't call it, man. I cannot call it. Next question. And we're almost done, I promise. So it's been listened to a lot of older music, Temptations and Teddy Pendergrass era, and they were singing damn near 10-minute songs about women. Is there any person or topic you could imagine singing 10 minutes about? I say, hell yeah. Women. What you mean? I can sing 10 minutes about women. Like, it ain't gotta be about like ones I know or love, you know what I'm saying? But I can sing about all the good pizzas I ate. But mostly women. Right? You can sing about women like you never met, or you dated once a long time ago, or that used to be your girl and broke your heart. Like, that's a gold mine, man. So that's easy money. I can sing about great tweets that I used to have once upon a time. I can sing about times that Madden pissed me off. That's a 100-minute song. I tweet about how angry those fucking Sprite commercials make me. You know what I'm saying? So, I could definitely get 10 minutes off a song. And the last question for the week says, with the conclusion of the Australian Open and the recent Tiger documentary, who would you prefer With the conclusion of the Australian Open and the recent Tiger documentary, who would you have preferred to have as a parent? Richard Williams, father of Serena and Venus, or Earl Woods, father of Tiger Woods? And which parent of an athlete who doesn't have the last name Ball do you think is the most maniacal? I say, give me Richard Williams, man. Like, he had the vision early. Earl had it too, but Richard Williams had the vision, like, implemented it. He moved his family like across the country because he found like a good trainer was like, I'll train them girls for free, but y'all don't live in Florida. And he was like, say less. And they moved from Michigan to Florida. And later they moved out to Compton, I think. Or they moved, it's either Michigan to Compton, Florida, or Michigan, Florida, Compton, one of those. But he had the vision. And I read a thing, it was like coaches, like different coaches around, like they disagreed with him, some of his tactics, but they were like, he, nor his wife, like never raised their voice at them kids. Saw a quote, he said he treated his daughters like kids. He allowed them to be little girls. Richard stopped sending his daughters to national junior tennis tournaments when Williams was 11. I think it was Venus, since he wanted them to take it slowly and focus on their schoolwork. Another motivation was racial, as he had allegedly heard parents of other players disparage the Williams sister during tournaments. So give me Richard. Like, I feel like the way he protected them, right? Like he let them be kids, but he also protected them growing up as black girls and the black women in a sport that was not really made for them. You know what I'm saying? So if you've seen like the old interview, the way he protected like their self-esteem, a guy asked, she like 12 or 13, asked Venus, he's like, you think you have the confidence to, win every match? And she was like, yes. And he's like, why do you feel that way? And she's like, because I'm the best. Like, what you want me to say? And Richard Williams steps in and he's like, no, you already asked her that. She says she's confident. You don't ask none of the white kids that shit. Move on to the next question. And the guy's like, Richard, you can't keep interjecting. And Richard's like, the fuck I can't. Ask her something else. So he seemed like he turned up on the other people, not his kids. So give me Ricky Williams there. Pops Ricky Williams. As far as like the maniacal parents, the Todd Marinovich stuff kind of wild, dog. Like it's if you're unfamiliar, Todd Marinovich was a quarterback, I think late 80s, early 90s. And from the time he was born, his father was like, he's going to be the perfect quarterback, right? And it's wanting something for your child, right? You can want something for your child, and then it's like tunnel vision, like they're going to be this. And said he was like stretching his hamstrings out at 1 month old. I read that when Todd was a kid, he'd go to other kids' parties. They'd bring his own cake and ice cream because he didn't want to have like refined white flour or sugar or nothing like that. That's one of those where it's like anytime it steps into, you're not letting a kid be a kid, right? And that sounds like he didn't get to have the same experience other kids have. And Todd Marinovich has talked about, like, he ended up getting into drugs in high school. I think he got put out the NFL for failing drug tests. And a lot of that was like, anytime I had away from my father, I was trying to, cut loose. So that's one of those, like, I don't think, I could be wrong, I didn't watch the 30 for 30. I don't think Todd ever like put his hands on him or anything crazy like that. But just that tunnel vision. You got that kind of tunnel vision for your kid. That's pretty maniacal. So he comes to mind as one of the wildest. But yeah, give me Richard Williams, man. Like, I remember growing up, Richard Williams, I felt like he got a rap. It's like, oh, he's a crazy, angry old black man. And the older I get, and the crazier and older I get as a black man, I was like, man, he wasn't crazy at all. Y'all were just asking stupid shit. And y'all made him, like, he's like, I didn't want to have to turn up, but if y'all gonna keep asking her, she already answered that. She confident because she practiced. She practiced and she win tournaments because she the best. Don't answer that. I think the boy Richard Williams got a bad rap. I think he got a bad rap. I say all that to say that Richard Williams might have got a bad rap. That'll do it for this week. Again, I ain't gonna hold you. I got a couple more questions. I just ain't got it in me right now. I told y'all what I'm finna do. I'm finna go self-medicate, eat and drink to excess. You know the vibes. But I will say 2 things. 1, keep taking this seriously. Wash your mask, wear your hands. You already know them vibes. 2, okay, I got 3 things to say. 2, there's a lot of ways to help out our folks. And I think Texas has gotten it the worst because they're just, everything is just forgotten. Or didn't forget, they knew about it. They just said, fuck them. There's a lot of ways to help them. I would encourage you, like, look into a way, like, research it, make sure it's legit. There's a lot of, like, GoFundMe's, if you can help retweet something to let people know it's like shelters or some pet safety, or pet acceptable shelters. There's ones for like older people, because it's navigating bad weather and your pipes burst and all that normally, and that sucks. And then you got to do it in a pandemic too. So if you're able to help there, I would hope that you can help in the way that you can. Again, by amplifying a message, or if you can direct people to safety, or if you can, provide $1 or $2. So hopefully people can, have, food and water until this year from hell stops. That's the second thing I want to say. And the third thing I want to say, Douglas Miller, who was a gospel singer, recently passed. And I think he was in his 70s. And I think I've only heard one song by Douglas Miller, but it's one of my favorite songs ever. It's called My Soul Has Been Anchored. And I'm going to close with that. I liked closing with Float On last week. Thought about closing with Float On every week. I still might. But this week, I'm going to close it out with Douglas Miller. My Soul's Been Anchored. R.I.P. to a real one. Y'all be safe out there in this weather. Don't be driving if you don't need to. And we'll catch you next week.
Though the storms keep on raging in my life, and sometimes it's hard to tell the night from day. Still, that hope that lies within is reassured as I keep my eyes upon the distant shore. I know He'll lead me safely to that blessed place He has prepared. But if the storms don't cease, and if the winds keep on blowing, my soul has been anchored in the Lord. Though the storms keep on raging in my life, and sometimes it's hard to tell the night from day. Still, that hope that lies within is reassured as I keep my eyes upon the distant shore. I know He'll lead me safely to that blessed place He has prepared. But if the storm don't cease, and if the winds keep on blowing in my life, my soul has been anchored in the Lord. Oh, I realize that sometimes in this life we're gonna be tossed by the waves and the currents that seem so fierce. But in the Word of God, I've got an anchor, and it keeps me steadfast and unmovable despite the my son.